Greetings and welcome. I am Joffrey, and joining to meet me today is Jocko from the Realms in Exile dev team. And today we are discussing the Administrative Government Part 2. Yet again, this is a case where I had hoped that Jamie would be able to join us, but he's been really inactive over the last couple of weeks, unfortunately, so I'll just have to wait a little more before I can get him onto my little rambling, what do you even call it? The excuse to ramble. Yes. But Jocko has, of course, read ahead, and he knows all of what's going
Yep,
on.
I have. I know
Uh,
everything.
mm-hmm. And apparently it's a long one again, compared
Yep,
to
yep.
the EU5, so... Alright. Let's get into it. Administrative Governments Part 2. Oh, let me move my do the other tab. Right. Oh, salutations! Oh, welcome back to taking a look at all things Byzantium and how the new government works. Oh, let me actually let the chat be on my screen. There. Late and sad. Oh God, been waiting for over an hour. Oh no. Or I'm sitting here being, I'm tired. I'm in my sweater, being all chilly. Um. Oh dear. All right, wake up, Joffy. Huh. Right. All of the included screenshots show a work in progress and not necessarily representing the final product, as we're still heavily at work on the expansion itself. Yeah, I wonder what they're still working on in particular then, but no need to speculate on that when there's gonna be, if there's gonna be another long dev diary ahead. uh, Especially true when it comes to several aspects of the UI, such as layouts and visuals. Ah, yes, because that's the thing that arguably the most people whinge about, isn't it? Oh, for some reason, it's the UI. No, no, not a 5 hour plus stream. Oh God. Uh, I'd believe it. I'd believe it with how long the last one was if I didn't need an excuse to dip quick from the last one. Um, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we'll see how long it takes before my cousins start DMing me on Discord, going, "Please play Escape the Backrooms with, play Escape the Backrooms with us." Oh my God. Values and numbers. Yeah, okay. They'll be rebalancing stuff too. But let's see. Yes, yes. Without further ado, what's actually the meat of this? Governors. Yes. Talk about how the actual characters interact with stuff. Until you see bad UI, you don't understand how important it actually is. Well, Bella. People, there's a lot of people, especially in the EU community, and by that I mean Europe Universalis, not Europe, but they probably overlap quite a bit, who really dislike CK3's UI. They just hate it. And it appears that Johan is like the lead of the EU5 team is very much in that camp as well. So I don't know. Thinks that CK3 has bad UI. I'm not.
Like
I don't know
earlier,
if I don't know, Jocko. I just don't think I'm in a place to comment on UI because I don't see what's wrong with CK3, but everyone dislikes it for some reason.
precisely. No, CK3 UI is the best. It's
Hmm.
any other opinion is wrong. I'm sorry.
All right.
Purely objective and based.
Ah. Well, I mean, we were just pumping our tires or before we started the stream, Mari, about how we, yes, it's a collective effort, are able to patch whenever there's a new update. It's definitely not all our team lead just instantly doing it all because he's very good at what he does. It's a collective effort. We support him, and, and that's why I'm trying to bully our team lead into joining us on this podcast thing because we're so great and supportive.
Need a team
JP,
lead backs. Lord.
JP, please, please, we need to discuss governments with you. Please help. The numbers, what do they mean? But yes.
Read, they've got some really cool
Alright,
admin government stuff.
I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it. Okay, I will. Governments are the foundation of an administrative realm. Governors are the foundation of an administrative realm. In order to make it easy to both see and inspect all of the governors, we present an overview of the realm in a new interface dedicated to all things revolving around the administrative government type. Here you can see who the different governors are, how good they are, which noble family they belong to, and their current line of succession. We want you to be able to get an at-a-glance view of not just the realm at large, but what themes you could potentially attempt to get your hands on, and which themes your own noble family already controls. As a vassal, you will even have quick access to some common actions that you may take towards the Emperor. Very interesting. Yes, I know that I was avoiding the conversation too much, but I know there was a bunch of talking earlier in the developer channels in Realms about ways that just this whole thing could affect earlier start dates when Gondor is going to be administrative, because of different cadet branches of Anarian throwing hands for influence. That could be
Yeah,
neat, but I don't.
can't
I
wait for
don't
it.
know. I don't think either of the two of us know enough about the history or what the
That's
people who
true.
do the history are going to want to do to know what that would actually look like.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Listen, man, I'm just here for the mechanics.
All I know is that there's the big man in Pelargir is who everyone should care about. That's all I know.
Exactly.
Though I don't think he's he's like the grandson of the guy in charge in the Angmar Wars. Uh,
That's true. That's true.
but anyway, moving along. Theme of we'll zoom in on this maybe there's some. I mean, because they showed us this sort of thing before. I just don't think there's going to be all that much new that this will show. Just yeah, I'm sure that they'll explain somewhere here the governor efficiency, so I won't need to do
Yeah,
my
yeah, they
typical.
do. They do.
What is this? What does it mean? Oh, I do that a lot on the EU5 ones because unlike the CK3, apparently, because in CK3 they go on forever and explain everything. In EU5, they're just like, as for that, I don't know. You have to find out some other time. Woo. But
No, I do appreciate the fact that they go really detailed in terms of the usage for CK3 because at least out of a modding perspective, it helps us to plan a bit more in terms of what we want to use and so forth.
the
So
things that I
yeah,
are that I like I notice here though and am interested in are that it splits them up by kingdoms and that you have things such as here it says Basilius's domain. I guess that's like the duchy that is in the capital because it's Thrace, so that's where Constantinople is. And then you have all the dynasty flags. I think we that
yeah, I see.
because it mentioned it shows who owns it. And what was the other thing? I don't know. I thought there was something. Oh, these little icons. I imagine that they'll explain that more. What
They
these
do
do.
it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's tied to the themes themselves. It's super cool, actually. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Early Arnor will not be administrative government, James, because Arnor was always quite feudal. The colonies set up there by the faithful Numenorians were always in a very they were setting up their own semi-independent duchies, really. It was the only reason that Gondor became administrative in its design is because when the faithful fled Numenor and showed up there around Minas Tirith, they the only part of that region that was feudal was Belfalas, the place that became Dol Amroth. That place was its own principality. However, Pelargir had its own league of cities going on, the League of Pelargir, and that was the main power in the area that got integrated. So it ended up becoming the League of Pelargir expanded into proper Gondor in general, and Belfalas just kind of sat there. So early Gondor will be a case where most of it's going to be administratively held. However, you will have Belfalas as its own feudal princedom within it. So Realms is going to be able to, in earlier starts, show off this system quite effectively. The struggle is trying to figure out how to use it in the War of the Ring. And a
Yeah.
lot of us are trying quite feverishly to come up with an excuse to give it to someone, but we don't know who. Oh, here's Vector. Here's Vector. You can join us, Vector. You know, or is he already here?
No, he's
Oh,
not
he is
here.
here.
He's
He
not
is here.
here.
All right. I as soon as I said that, I'm like, oh, he might be here, and I just don't know because I've got streamer mode on.
I only joined about 15, 20 seconds ago, so.
Okay, okay. I didn't want to bother you because I already bother you about so many streams. It's like I don't want to do it 3 times a week every week.
I appreciate the thought. This one though is so that I wanted to jump in. So
I can understand that you're one of those folks that was talking a lot about this on the in the Realm server. So and I had to avoid reading too much. So I imagine that you would have a lot to say. But it's a long one, so
I imagine Yako is just bouncing off the walls, thinking of all the new mechanics he can tinker
I
with and new
I am.
functionalities.
I was reading through the dev diary. I'm like, oh my word, how can I like jank this to like solve certain problems or whatnot?
Well, we can
Just
now
like
transfer. We can now
men
transfer
at
men at
arms.
arms. Yeah.
oh
Yeah, for
oh
titles, yeah. So
oh
like immediately when I
well.
saw that, I was like, "Oh my word, yes, Aragorn's like demo for mid-arm situation."
Hey,
Because
finally.
they have it so that the themes can essentially borrow and lend their men at arms troops both between the themes and between the themes and the emperor. So
Yeah, and also the men-at-arms are tied in the administrative government are tied to the themes themselves, not to your character or your ruler.
yeah, they're
So
tied to
if
the
That makes sense.
title. They're tied to the title.
yeah,
That
sorry, to the
really.
title, yeah. So like if someone else inherits the title, they'll have the men-at-arms you recruited while holding said title. It's kind of weird because they split it into groups. You still have personal men-at-arms or retinues, and then you have title-tied men-at-arms. And the like character tied ones, go with you. If you inherit a different title, they'll come with you. But the title tied ones stay on that title.
Really
Which
going
is
into that more the whole administrative government is more of a proper state kind of thing. So there's no
yeah, no, definitely
it's very that's this will at last solve the issue of people needing to debate is Aragorn does Aragorn need a recruitment cost reduction when he returns to Gondor so we can recruit an army, or is he fine to just pay for it normally because we can just steal
yeah.
Denethor's army?
That's true. That's true.
The Dorwinian is a whole we don't know what, but we would want to do something with Dorwinian is kind of what Jocko and I have at least talked about. Vector's here. I don't know what his thoughts on the subject are though.
Basically, I don't want to just straight implement administrative for Darwinian, but I feel like a lot of the mechanics could be appropriate for Darwinian. So we'll have to look at custom governments and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
I
wanting
do
to do
hope
a lot of We'll have to see what the actual code looks like. Is the point? That's what I'm getting, because I'm one of the folks on the Realms team who's done the most experimenting with government types, because I'm desperate to try and make it work, even though you can't make it work because it's bad. Government modding is really bad, but I try anyway. So I'm going to, as soon as I get my hands on this code, try again to make interesting stuff happen, and we'll see what can be done, and if it's possible to make something that would function for Darwinian, then I will do my best. But we shall see. And hello, exactly. Yes. But yes, Darwinian is split between your more like the more feudal centric realms and then the patrician families. So it's similar, but it would not apply. This system would not apply to it. It's because Darwinian is the way I describe it to people is people will just look at Darwinian and think, oh, that makes perfect sense for them to use administrative government. But what I explain to them is, uh, Byzantium is a realm that has some feudal elements, but is trying to become more administrative and centralized. Darwinian is a country that is more republican, that is feudalizing. So, yeah, it doesn't, not really the same, but
Or it's like a
moving on.
country that's
Oh.
got feudal rural lands, or like half the country is feudal and the other half is trying in vain to hold on to its republican attributes.
Yes,
Sort
they're still they're stealing the right to vote. Cancel the wine lords. Well, they're funny houses up in the hills.
But they've got the good wine. Obviously, they deserve to rule.
They
Get
have the
divine
good
right
wine. That's
They get
subjective.
The divine right of wine.
Alright. The first objective of any landless the first objective of any landless noble is to try and make themselves a governor, as this is one of the best ways to gain further influence. Governors are the backbone of any administrative realm, and they have a significant impact on how well the realm performs, which is of key importance to the emperor in particular. Any administrative vassal who holds land alongside a duchy other than their family title, or kingdom, becomes what we refer to as governors. When a character becomes a governor for the first time, they also get the governor trait. At first, this trait doesn't offer much value, as you gain trait experience and level it up. However, it starts providing some significant bonuses, especially in regard to the amount of influence you'll get, making the trait a great source of influence gain as you get into those higher levels. The rank of the trait can be seen as their overall experience as a governor, and the trait will level up as you perform your duties, handsomely rewarding you for their service towards the Empire. Yes, yes.
The Empire?
The Empire. The Vine Right of Kings. You're right. Exactly. In Darwinian, they have the Vine Right of Kings. Struggle in Mordor. Oh no. We're not doing a struggle in Mordor for Sauron's attention. No.
Oh, imagine
It's
that.
like, no, notice me, Sauron Senpai. I can slaughter the enemies most
No.
well.
No, oh my word.
We had a big old internal debate where some people were thinking that Mordor made perfect sense to be an administrative realm, and then people had to beat them down by saying, it was the example I brought up was like, all right, if you made Mordor an administrative realm, what you're saying is that Mordor should be ruled by a collection of powerful and influential orcish families, all jockeying for influence to get Sauron to give them and their house the best titles. Don't work. And I'm pretty sure what Vector had said on that subject is that Sauron is rather the opposite. He's really apathetic to what the orcs do. So,
So long as they fight and kill his enemies, you don't really care too much for their internal power squabbles.
more Abercon content when I get when I get permission to completely rework it. That's when we get new Abercon content.
Merchant republics win. Playable
Uh,
merchant republics win. That's the real question.
hey, cross your fingers that's something along those lines can be cooked up with administrative government. But we'll see. We shall
Yeah, that's
see.
true.
It's quite
We shall
possible.
see.
I would not be surprised, but we'll see. Administrative hillmen, more likely than you think. No, but
I mean, they're literally adding a decision to adopt administrative, so a Hillman campaign could totally result in administrative.
that's true. That's
Paradox,
true.
second, my beloved.
That's one of the biggest things that I'm sure we will have to look at is like what the actual requirements to adopt administrative is, because and maybe they show it here. I kind of doubt it because that's an easy thing to not show. But if the requirements are too easy, relatively speaking, then we'll have to change them so that the Dunedain and different start dates aren't just always being, well, it's time to adopt administration. Bellacar and the Stormhost go, vroom.
That's true.
Yeah, that
that's
sort of
true.
thing. SMH your head, Dark. And yeah, there's the Strategos. Oh yes, title flavor as well. I forgot. More excuse for title flavor. Yes.
Somebody stop him.
No, it cannot be stopped. Valuable skills as well. I imagine that this trait probably has a large effect on your governor efficiency. So
That's
I know
yeah. They discuss it later, and they show what it
Yeah.
looks like max tier.
Yeah,
they
and
do.
it has some really, really good stats that it gives your player. Like,
Woo!
It gives you +6.
Vector,
+8.
this is why we can't have elves with houses like this. You can't give the elves administration. If you let the elves do this and like take rotations, they're gonna be just spending just tons. They're all gonna be max tier Strategoses. You'd have Lyndon.
gonna be
Timeline.
interesting.
You'd have like whatever if you made Lyndon have like administrative elements to it. All of the different houses would just be max tier governors all the time. Though it would be kind of funny to see that, I won't lie.
Direct roll from Linden.
Level 3 orc boss levels. Oh gosh, you're right! You're right, exactly. That's what I have to call it. Yeah, it would be the boss, their tier of boss. How good at being a boss are they? The great goblin must institute administrative rule over his realm. Yes. Unlike vassals of other government types, administrative governors will normally only hold a single governorship at a time. This limit exists for two reasons. The first is regarding immersion and logic. If you're appointed as the governor of a province somewhere, you wouldn't also be appointed to a different province elsewhere. If you were, you would take up your new position and be replaced as governor for your initial province by someone else. Secondly, we want to encourage the use of family members to a larger extent for administrative governments. Once you have secured a governorship for yourself, you'll have to start making use of your family. Having family members in high places allows for a wider spreading web of influence. Given that there is a cap on influence investments, which we discuss below, the more family members you have to spend influence supporting your candidates, the more powerful your family may become. Ho ho ho.
Jeez, I
Hello,
can't wait to
Icy.
subvert the entire Imperial bureaucracy and just make it a family mafia state.
Except you leave the emperor in charge just as a figurehead. Yes, yes.
I am
Governors have to be
unironically
adults.
excited for that type of things. Imagine just playing in a Byzantine Empire in like an MP. You've got 11 people, and you just have like 3 mafia families just controlling what the emperor does. It's like, oh yeah, you want to like do this action now? You can't. First, pay me 1,000 gold. It's gonna be amazing.
I don't. I just imagine actually wanting to play vanilla.
Okay,
How amusing.
okay, that's true. But like, imagine that concept applied to like Darwinian. Although, I mean, it wouldn't really fit. But I just want to be a really, really powerful merchant lord and bribe everyone around me.
I mean, uh, hmm, making me think about Serene so far from when we're adding it. How cruel of you. I want
Yes,
Serene.
my master plan.
I
My
want my
master plan all
Confederation of
along.
City-States. Give. Hmm. When the last elf goes away, Círdan would also leave. That's how that works. Yep. Um. You okay. Bella, you can't rewind a stream on YouTube that's in progress, but you can rewind the ones that are just VODs. That's how that works. Hmm. Do, do, do. Admin Realms use a new form of succession called appointment. In its basic form, every character that is defined as eligible for a title is given a candidate score, which is based on a scripted value. Some characters are not added to the succession list by default, but are only added after having received an investment by another character in the realm. Oh, this kid, my nephew, look at him! He would do the job just fine! I assure you, he is very intelligent and capable. Since administrative government is primarily modeled on Byzantium, we have created two different forms of this succession type of appointment. Oh, okay. Appointment for governors and acclamation for the emperor. Okay. The primary difference between these two lies in the calculation of candidate score and the fact that children are only eligible under acclamation succession. Oh, so the actual emperor title, I guess.
Correct. You can
Uh,
be elected as the Byzantine emperor as a child, but you can't be elected as a governor of a province.
mm-hmm. Hmm. Interesting.
Direct rule from Babi will come.
Yes, a babby. I mean, electing the babby would make it probably easier to influence the realm, though. Children cannot hold governor. Wait, yeah. Children are only eligible for acclamation succession. Yeah, children can't hold governorships, but are permitted to be acclaimed as emperor. For the rest of this section, we will take the succession of governors as the primary point of discussion, since that's what you'll encounter most. For those of you who remember viceroyalties in CK2, you may remember that one of the most significant drawbacks of how they worked was the constant micro of having to hand out the titles again and again. All governors have a new succession law to combat this, named appointment. This new succession law makes managing your vassals significantly easier, and more importantly, provides the vassals with a whole new level of agency, as they have a venue of attempting to seize the titles for themselves. An important element when you consider the landless aspect, as you won't have to sit around waiting and hoping that your liege appoints you as a governor. I do like this. Solution a lot, actually, yes. In tandem with this newfound agency for governors, the emperor is also bound up in this rat race of politicking. While the top liege of an admin realm has a few additional tools to make changes to the lay of the realm, as is their lawful right, they must also contend with the bargaining and exchange of favors proffered by governors and noble family heads. Yes, yes. By default, any eligible family members of the governor will be added to the line of succession for any held governorship, sorted by their candidate score. The score a character gets includes a wide set of factors such as skills, their relationship with the current governor, political potential upgrades in the estate, and much more. Basil II was just a kid when he came to the throne. Yes, exactly. The regents are what I'm talking about. It's so much easier to control them when they're babby, because the regent, yes, especially if you are that regent. Ha 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 ha.
I am the regent.
Constantinos Ducas. Own capital's popular opinion makes you less attractive. That's
Based.
great. Oh no, if we want you, the people aren't so happy where you come from. Investments, holders close families of local culture. Yeah. They're actually people are actually considered more likely to be they're considered more desirable to be made a governor if they're of the culture local to the region. Huh.
That's nice.
By the
That
looks of it.
is that's actually very cool that that's considered, because it does make sense, that you appoint someone that's actually local to the place you conquered, whereas you just institute this random Greek guy in, I don't know, in the middle of like Arabia. It's like, yes, rule
Well,
this
it's
desert
only
place.
it is only a +10, so it's slightly inclined towards them ruling those provinces because they've
Yes.
got a slight better advantage in managing them. But I
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah,
take it
like
be like this
I
is going to make sure it's always a local getting elected.
The
no,
+10 is
that's true.
twice as good as like the previous governor being your dad, though. So that's
Yeah,
pretty good.
but the skills are giving +58, so
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
like
I
a
do
skilled
think it should.
candidate is going to win out pretty
Yeah,
consistently.
I do think it should be that way, like if it's like a tiebreaker between a Greece person or someone of the local culture, then the local culture should kind of like be that tiebreaker. But if you
Drac.
have like someone, let's say, that you want to appoint from Greece that just has insane skills, you'd obviously pick him over the person that's of the local culture. But I do think it can serve as a nice tiebreaker. Um,
Oh.
so that is cool in my opinion, at least.
Oh, it's only my live streams in particular where you can't rewind, but you normally can. Well, that is weird. I've never heard of this.
Yeah, I can't do it either, actually.
I don't know what sort of setting that would be causing
You
such
haven't
a thing.
given you haven't given YouTube enough money, evidently.
Hmm. Customization, live chat replay. Huh. I don't see anything for this. I don't know.
Anyway,
Hmm.
can't be
Well,
solved right now by the sound of it.
yeah, I don't suppose so. I've I've quickly scrolled through a bunch of things, so that's all I'll do right now, and realize that I can look it up later, I suppose. Um, oh, maybe if I just had more subs, yes. Uh, right. And just as you say that it has decided my internet is not good enough, my phone decides it is now slow charging instead of fast charging. How dare you? Uh, the interesting part is that other governors, landless nobles, and even the liege can spend their influence to invest in candidacy of other candidates. These investments are done per character and per title, and you can invest in characters not already in the line of succession.
Geez, that's going to make for some really freaking obnoxious multiplayer games. People are going to be contesting elections left, right, and center and just electing the
Well,
most random ass people.
can already see, like, imagine you've got like 9 or 10 people playing in an admin government. One moment you're like, ah, yes, my candidate will win. Next moment, oh wait, why is like 5 candidates just like 5 influence away from inheriting this title? What the hell? And then you just get like 5 offers with hooks using influences and shit to like make you accept offers. Oh, it's gonna be amazing. Chaos. I love it.
We need some large country to be able to have administration. God damn it. I can't handle it just being like Gondor in the Angmar Wars. But I don't know. Because we couldn't
Once we
just
have
like
our hands on it, we'll review it.
I guess, yeah. Mm. We, I want it though. Eh, couldn't really make it like Rune. That wouldn't really work, I guess.
No, Rune's more of a step confederacy.
The Shire can have it. Okay, James, okay. Yeah. Insert
Direct rule from
com
Brookland.
insert communism memes. Yes. DVR. Oh, I think DVR is a setting that is related to OBS, so maybe I'll have to take a look at that later. I don't think that's something I could change for this live stream right now, but I'll take a look at that afterwards. Oh yeah, but this is a thing where he's like offering. Oh no, it's like the amount that you spend. Yeah. Effects on you. If he gains the Byzantine Empire, you may reward his top non-house supporter. Support your candidate. Oh, you support your candidate for the Byzantine Empire, which in this case is himself.
So because since the luck is a bit wonky because you're supporting yourself.
And so this is him. Yeah. I wonder why he can do this. Is he of the dynasty?
Anybody can support them. Anybody can support themselves. It's just it's going to be pretty hard to overcome the incumbent emperor's dynasty, I imagine.
That would make sense. I
Through
imagine.
influence alone.
Well, the thing is, I have no idea how to say your name, friend, but I've seen you in quite a few of these streams. But you talking about Mordor needing its own form of government. Sauron isn't going around and hand picking which orcs he wants ruling where. That would only be applicable if it was literally all like black Numenorian captains, which is really cringe. Like those are the only people he's micromanaging are the black Numenorians and the like other men slash his Nazgul. The orcs are just whichever among you is good.
It is a heavily autocratic but not particularly bureaucratic system.
Yeah,
is how I'd refer to.
it's a good way of describing it.
Because his word is absolute law, but he doesn't have a particularly sophisticated bureaucracy.
His
can decree things and they will happen.
But usually there's not all that many things being decreed. It's usually very specific to his mental state, what is happening. Yeah, exactly. There ain't gonna be no orcs voting and being like, oh, I'm spending this influence so that Sauron will put me in charge of this or that.
I am your Dark Lord. Well, I didn't vote for you.
We do impose an investment cap. And this is probably where it becomes extremely difficult to overcome the leading family in the empire, where you just can't spend enough.
I cannot do it. We cannot do it again.
The investment cap is calculated from a variety of factors, but it's primarily based on your house's powerful family rating. So you got to build up the fundamental strength of your family before you challenge for rule of the empire. This means that you can only invest up to a certain amount of influence per character, per title. And that is directly proportional to the power of your house. Say you've hit the cap, but your candidate still isn't first in the line of succession. What then? You must convince other governors and noble heads to support your candidate, whether through goodwill, bribes, exerting more influence, or the like. Yes, wonderful. Use a hook. Yes, for the theme of Philippopolis. Yes, yes, wonderful. This is going to be much fun, I imagine. I'm pretty sure that's new hair as well, actually. I think that's this guy has some new hairstyle.
Oh yeah, that does look like it.
Yeah, it does look new.
I like that parted down the middle look. I demonstrate on my own head as if my bald ass is gonna give any indication of what I'm talking about.
Your luscious locks, John.
Is that a new beard, or have I just been looking at Mysterion's too many far quad DNAs?
I think
Like-
that is a new one too. Yeah, I think that is also a new beard.
Hey, because yeah, it was either a new beard or it's some heavily far quad looking DNA.
No, it's the old
And I've
beard.
just
I
got,
mean,
like,
okay. If you say it's an old one, yeah, it must just be a rare one then. Unless you are deceiving. Castamiri Umbar is also very much not administrative.
I mean, maybe it was for a small portion of time, but if it was, it collapsed pretty much easily immediately because when Castamir and all their supporters fled to Umbar, obviously to maintain that type of support, particularly without all the rest of Gondor to keep them in place, they kind of had to make concessions and basically feudalize immediately so that they could, you know, not implode, sort of deal. And surprisingly enough, a realm founded by backstabbers is not full of trustworthy people.
The Shreldor is a thing that Vector and I have talked about. He doesn't think that the original Shreldor, at least, would have been administrative because that's really old. That was like that is like the Shreldor is like one of the first Easterling realms to be semi-feudal even. So to call them an administrative, while like it's pretty, I mean, it would represent the whole evil, tyrannical, no power for you, ha ha ha. It also doesn't really feel like it works with the times. Maybe Reborn Shreldor, funny meme Margaz would make more sense because it's more modern. Yeah, I could see that. But I mean, by the time you press that button, you've won the game anyway. So doesn't mean I couldn't change it. We'll have to take a look. And again, we're gonna this whole topic is gonna be a big discussion. Ah, yes, tribal administrative. Very clever, exactly. Investing in a character for a title will make them appear in the line of succession, getting their own candidate score, which is increased further by the amount of influence you choose to invest. So not only can you make yourself or the members of your family appear in the line of succession of other governorships, but by spending large amounts of influence, you can even compete to make your candidate appear first in line. Then all you need is for the current governor to have a happy little accident.
Took a little tumble off the cliff.
Oh Lord,
You did that pretty well.
I need murder events to be rewritten. Bloody hell. I've sent so many people to their deaths using peasants, and then the peasants rat me out. It would be quite fun if we had like an actual tumble off the cliff. Like in Constantinople, you just go and like waltz along the sea and you just like give a slight push to the emperor, dies. Now a kid rules the empire.
Something for Key. I mean, I assume that Key is also pretty feudal, but we've only talked so much about it.
Yeah, it's a bit too far off to discuss Kai at this point.
Kai, yeah. I mean, if we added the whole Bay of Wormall in that one in a single update, like we had debated, then I mean it would be in. But I still don't think that's what would happen. It would probably just be Serene. Most likely Kai is not getting added for a very long time. If I had to bet, Kai is not getting added until we've done the entire Utter South, and then the Northeast Runic Steppe, then the Bay of Hormall, and then they get mushed together in the middle.
And only then do we get to Wolvosters.
Wow! No! You're forgetting the rest of the Eastern Steppe. It keeps going. There's another empire in the middle. The Mongols, Ruartar, I think. Yeah. God.
Yeah, not quite the Mongols. More like. Yeah,
I mean,
don't know what
they're called Ruartar. Maybe they're just the not Rorans then. Hmm?
That's disgusting. No, you
What's
retract that statement.
Why? What's wrong with that? Mulan did the Rorans dirty. They claimed that they were the Huns, but they weren't. Anyway, where were we again? We were talking about politicking and stuff. Happy little accident, yeah, and like peasants trampling people, but then they rat you out.
Tumble off the cliff.
Yeah, and then we went down a different rabbit hole because Vector said take a little tumble off the cliff, and yeah, investing in a character. Yeah, yep, excellent. That's a pretty classic CK way of going about it, though. A true Byzantine politicker would go a more political route and force that governor to resign their appointment, or use the new slander scheme to run the reputation to the ground. Oh, that's pretty high praise for the Byzantines. I don't know what the Byzantines wouldn't assassinate people. That's silly. I don't know. Where's Valar when you need it?
It is actually true. They would tend to try to push people out of their office and get them exiled before, just assassinating somebody. Although they do just assassinate people.
Drac, Byzantium will be the only admin at Game Start. However, they've implied things that hint at there being rules that will allow you to make certain other factions.
End of this dev diary. End of this dev diary.
End of this dev diary. End of this dev diary. We shall continue along. Force governor resignation. This is the only way you get rid of the elves.
Here, Joffrey would never get to the actual end of the diaries. He would just have questions forever.
Exactly. I would just sit here in the middle and be like, I don't know. But what does it mean? But yeah, forced governor resignation. This would be the only way that you would get an elf to resign if you had any elven realm that had any administrative elements. You would need to be trying to force them to resign. I wonder how feasible that would be. Good thought experiments, I suppose. It would allow Vector to shove even more houses of noble families into the region. Force governors. New interaction, yeah. Political schemes, slander them. Political schemes, execute scheme. Agent slots.
Yeah, oh yeah, I saw that. I'm super excited for that. Intrigue rework, let's go.
What? You need to fill out your Ocean's 11 squad? The diplomat, the shill, The socialites. The fucking shill. What does that even mean? What?
All I can see in my head is like a one Rick and Morty show episode where he gathers his entire squad, shows up, and it's like, great, that's all I need you for. Get out of here. That's like all I'm seeing. Like, imagine Castamere. That's him with the squad. He's like, listen, I need you so that the game doesn't bother me, but that's all. I don't need your skills. I need you to stand there and look pretty.
Oh god. Oh, and he's launching CK3. Oh, wow. What a surprise. What a surprise. A good podcast, a good multi-hour podcast would never stop Jocko from coding more.
No, that's exactly what I'm busy doing. Coding.
Of course!
Yeah,
You don't play the game. All this
Never.
talking about like taking over the Byzantine Empire and making your family run everything like a mafia, that's all hypotheticals. You would never actually play the game.
No. What's declaring war? I've never heard of her.
Seize the moment, execute with confidence, leverage advantage, cover every angle. What? Choose the precise moment when you're ready to drag your political opponent's reputation down.
Oh, look at that! That has it's like 10 opportunities. Like if you look in the event above the options, there's like a 10 opportunities thing.
I think this is a resource.
That could be interesting.
I think it's a reason. These keys are a resource you're spending, and it's a case of if you can spend all 10 to cover every angle, and basically guarantee success.
Yeah, it's also interesting because with the previous image, it looks like they're also just updating how clearly, from a schemer's perspective, when events will fire and so forth, because they've got the new counter that's X amount of days till your next phase. Obviously your maximum secrecy.
What's the grace period too?
That's interesting. Maybe I have no idea actually. I can't think of one thing.
Maybe you are able to get a grace period where you can't be discovered. Because the 15% secrecy is really bad. So maybe if you don't pull it off within a year, it's much more likely that this type of scheme, for example, gets discovered because it's a very non-secret. Because the slander is very obvious. That could make sense to me.
Yeah, and I see in something now. I'm assuming it's a button, but there's a button that is actually execute scheme. So I'm assuming it's not a scheme that will auto execute. Yeah, it's
we are returning to CK2 style scheming, which honestly I think is for the better.
Yeah, it's which does look, because it looks like you can essentially hold off on executing until you want to do something wait until the exact appropriate time. You want to gather up influence, and you want to put someone on the ruler of a certain theme, but you don't have enough influence at a certain point in time, so you can just hold off on executing the scheme. So in all, basically, it looks like you've got a lot more control over when you actually perform the scheme on someone, which I think is probably the correct direction, personally, because I've always hated how when you do a murder scheme, it's you've got 2 years. Some crap will happen, and then someone hopefully dies, and that's your input as a player. So having a bit more of a actual input from the player side is always nice.
I think that it would be nice to not be because I know you. For some reason, the only time Jocko ever actually plays the game is because he's scheming. For some reason, I don't know why. He's always a schemer. It's weird. But I suppose you are probably quite used to you set up a scheme because you want to do this or that, but you don't want it to fire. So you constantly have the triggers the event, and you're like, no, stop, do it later.
Exactly.
but this here would let you seemingly press the button when you want to. And interestingly, you've got diplomat, which is filled in, and then the shill is not filled in. But these have this like a lock and a target, and the target is
Yeah,
success
so
chance, I imagine.
yeah, so
So
it I think it looks to be like there's three positions that could potentially because I see there's other correlation with you putting out the icons. The
mm-hmm.
socialite has the same icon with the X days till next phase, so it could
Yes.
potentially mean, or at least I'm assuming it means that if you have like the socialite role filled in, more events will essentially fire for you to get more opportunities, get higher success chance, get higher secrecy, whatever. And also, actually, I just noticed with you putting in the icons, I wonder if they've added scheme-specific modifiers because above the execute scheme button, they've got like a modifiers thing.
Yeah.
You've always had modifiers on your
Okay,
schemes.
that's
What are
true.
you
That's
on
true.
about?
Oh, do
Yeah,
they
yeah,
show
yeah.
them in
Sorry,
the
sorry.
schemes tab?
I don't
They
think so.
did.
Sorry.
They
They
did.
do they? Do
Oh.
they? I've
Hmm.
just never noticed them. It's because this might be honestly an effort to make people open the scheme tab more. I just never open the scheme tab. It's like, if I'm going to murder someone, like who cares what my chances are? That person's going to end up dead,
The,
no
the, the only
matter how long
reason
it takes.
only reason I ever open that tab is if I'm gonna bribe someone. So this is
Exactly.
interesting because
Yeah.
this seemingly it makes it more a case of who you don't want to. It's not like actually gonna make your scheme more successful to have every Tom, Dick, and Harry in someone's palace like technically on board. You need to coordinate like a proper team, and you want to make sure that they're good people. So that makes sense to me. So it seemingly in this case you would start the scheme, and then you'd click on diplomat and see a list of people that would be willing to join your scheme, and then you uh, send it off. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that could be, yeah. Someone reminds me of a. I don't want to say watered down because that kind of just craps on PDX, but it somewhat reminds me of what Princes of Darkness did for their heist, where you like assemble a team to go on a heist and like steal gold. Where like similar in the sense of you kind of have to get this proper team to actually execute the scheme. If like you said, if you hire like every Tom, Dick, and Harry, this random peasant cleaning the toilets probably won't help you like murder the king. Like maybe, but it's a lot more likely if you get like the maid that's like cleaning the emperor's like bedchambers herself or whatever. So that could be fun.
Since a character can normally only hold a single governorship at a time, they can't inherit a second one. There are ways to get a second governorship, even if you already have one, but it will be the exception rather than the rule. You'll have to rely on your family members getting and holding governorships if you want to extend your family's influence. And spending your influence to invest in their candidacy for a given title is the primary way of doing so. You won't be the only one attempting to contest titles, however. You'll be competing with the other noble families of the realm, all attempting to secure governorships for themselves. One way for characters to slide into this exception is by scheming to subsume another governorship. Hmm. This new scheme allows for governors to leverage all their intrigue and influence to secure an additional neighboring governorship appointment. That said, each title will retain its own line of succession and be granted to different governors upon succession. So just your character then personally
Yeah.
could absorb a second governorship that is next, like is adjacent to yours. That's
Yeah, so
interesting.
somebody brought up Julius Caesar before, so you can chicanery your way into a Caesar situation where you hold three provinces, but once you're gone, those provinces are going to split back up.
Hmm. Makes sense. Makes sense. That is very interesting too. I I am very curious. I don't think they're going to talk about it, but I'm very curious about how a kingdom subject works in the administrative government. I got no like. Are they also just considered a province that you appoint for? How does that work when there's multiple levels of this? Hmm.
Yeah, they don't
I'd assume
handle.
it's similar.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't say anything specifically, but yeah, I do wonder because, like, I'm assuming, I think what Victor was getting to before I interrupted you. Sorry about that. But I'm personally also assuming that it's like similar where you just appoint a governor of a kingship. But I am wondering whether, like, can you still appoint the governors of the dukes under said king,
Mm-hmm.
or
Well, so
does
the
it?
way that I'm pretty confident. So the way that it works, it seems in administrative, is anybody can invest influence anywhere in order to
Yes.
appoint them. And the emperor has the right to appoint and dismiss as he pleases under other circumstances. But that doesn't change the automatic line of succession. It just changes who the active ruler currently is. So I imagine the kingdoms are similar, and so you're still able to appoint dukes under kings. You're still able to influence the elections under a king. That's my current thought, anyway.
Yeah,
Okay,
that
okay,
makes sense.
because here's a big thing for me. What happens? Say, a governor does a bunch of shenanigans and subsumes a couple neighboring governorships, and then has enough de jure land to make a kingdom title. Can they make it? And then what happens if they make that kingdom title? Does that kingdom? I imagine that would then make them a kingdom tier governor that's in the bureaucratic apparatus, and then it's now that title is now just another one of the titles that's in the
Yeah, I
complex.
doubt. Yeah, I doubt you'd be able to feudalize your way out of the
Mm-hmm.
bureaucracy. Because it's
I
like, well, I own all these lands, so I crown myself king, therefore I don't have to give you, these administrative dues anymore. Like I don't think that'll work. I don't think that'd
mm-hmm.
fly with the emperor.
I don't think so either. But it's an interesting thought about whether it allows the subjects to create titles at all.
Yeah,
I'm curious
it
about
is.
that. Hmm. One way for characters to slide into this exception is by scheming. Yep. Investing in candidates for various titles is going to be one of the primary ways for you to spend and utilize your influence. That said, there are numerous ways of getting your House members into positions of power. You just have to play your cards right. Governor efficiency. Here we go. Alright. All governors have something we call governor efficiency. It can be described as how good they are at their job. Makes sense. uh, it is a value set between negative and positive 50, and acts as a modifier on the land a governor holds. It translates directly into how much levies or taxes their holdings provide. Oh boy, it is quite literally a one-to-one translation. That could be rough then. Whew, so if it's
Yeah,
a
well, they've said previously, and I believe in this dev diary as well, that the entire idea is that an administrative realm, when run competently, is going to just kick the absolute shit out of any other type, but it's going to become a punching bag if it's headed by incompetence.
makes sense. So if all those house heads are setting up their idiotic nephews to be the governors of different provinces, then it will be less effective than if the emperor is deliberately picking, getting to choose who they want and think is most effective for the job.
Yeah,
Very
it'll also
tricky
create
interplay.
I think, a nice dynamic in terms of, like, out of playing a governor's perspective, right? Like, if you just want to increase your general influence gain, you don't really care if your, like, nephew hasn't gone to school and eats dirt, right? If he can get onto the governorship, earning you influence, then you don't care what effect he has on the emperor's, like, taxes. Whereas the
Exactly.
emperor's like, listen, I want, like, someone that doesn't eat dirt. I want this man to give me money and levies. So it'll be an interesting dynamic in terms of what it creates between the emperor and the the governorships, in terms of how they jockey for more influence, versus the emperor just being like, "Hey, listen, guys, I just want us to be strong. Like, can you listen, please?"
No. Uh, a governor's efficiency is mainly decided by their overall skills. They'll need a minimum amount of skill points to go above the -50 threshold. When their skills are high enough, every skill point will further increase their efficiency, meaning that a highly skilled character will have a much higher efficiency and therefore also be a much more valuable vassal. While efficiency is mainly a measurement of a character's overall skill, there are a few other factors that greatly impact their total efficiency. We want a character's education and experience as a governor to matter, and while these traits do provide you additional skills, thus increasing their base efficiency, they also grant a bonus on top of it. Some of governors' efficiency's main factors include the following: their skills, the rank of their trait, having a tier 4 or 5 education, upgrades in the governor's estate. Oh, okay, so even just being from the right family can help. That makes sense. The administrative type of their governorship. Oh, the type? Eunuchs have an extra bonus. Eunuchs are more effective.
Based. That is.
That's an interesting
Hey, wait,
implication.
I'm assuming. You mean
We are revoing
eunuchs can now
PP
get-
privileges to the vassals.
Yeah. I'm
They've
assuming
proven
eunuchs
they can't
can.
be trusted with.
I'm assuming eunuchs can inherit titles then, because obviously currently the eunuch trait disallows inheriting titles in any form.
I mean,
So
being a eunuch wouldn't stop you from being appointed a governor, I suppose, yeah? That's interesting.
I know what I'm gonna do as soon as this DLC drops.
Yeah, you're gonna play
Just
the no
castrate
PP man?
everyone in my prisoner. No, I'm gonna play the emperor. I'm just gonna castrate
Oh.
everyone
And
and
then
appoint
make
them
them
my
a governor.
governors.
Yeah, alright.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if they misbehave, you'll castrate them, but then you'll make them a governor afterwards.
Yeah, it's kind of like, one hand hits them while the other hand offers succor, whatever the saying is. No,
It's
it's like
the optimal team up. The optimal team up is to have oh God. So you have a vassal. No, wait, no. I could see. So you play as a vassal, and you castrate your own kids that you don't want to have more kids, but then it makes them a more effective governor. And the emperor will want to have them
yes.
be a governor because they're a eunuch.
This is good. This is good.
Oh, mentor in
I am-
governance, a scheme where you can attempt to improve a governor's efficiency. Oh. Oh. I see. Efficiency, minimum, maximum. Base minus 100. Whew. Damn. The base is minus 100. That's rough. All of this is
That's
a skilled
insane.
guy. This guy is not bad at all. But he only has plus 30 with all of those skills.
And
And-
28 intrigue.
Oh, yeah. Maybe it's not affected by. No, it's got to be all of your skills, right? It's got to be a total of all of them. Yeah.
And skills, and then it's also stewardship because this is a civilian administration theme. So
So
that
Bloody hell.
that's the
I mean,
type.
I think.
The type
Yeah,
of
yeah.
it. So that your stewardship
I mean,
gives more bonus. That makes sense.
yeah, they go into it a bit more, but there's like 6 different types, I think, for the Byzantine Empire at least.
correct.
Some of them are like only one theme. No, there's only one. There's like the Imperial one that can only be obtained by one theme at a time, or there can only exist one Imperial theme at a time, and it's essentially seen as the most prestigious theme that you have. Like, if you have this theme, then you're essentially next to the emperor, the most powerful person or the most influential in the empire. And then you've got ones that are like specific to, if you can only give a theme, or sorry, let me put this better. Some themes are for like border places, so they've got better defender advantage, takes longer to raid them. The attrition taken for enemies is like plus
The
30%.
images are a bit further on in the dev diary.
Yeah, you can go look at the images. It's already
I'll go
done.
continue along then. But yeah, Princes of Darkness. The Shire already has pipeweed. Yes, we have in fact given them pipeweed as a coping mechanism. Though I suppose the pipeweed actually everyone can get that, can't they? Or is it only certain cultures? I don't remember.
Anybody can get it. It's just a reflavor of the vanilla Hasashash, I believe.
And yet, it does appear that the Theodosian walls have been added as a 3D asset. So that's neat. For convenience, we show a character's efficiency in the character view if a character is administrative, regardless of if they are a governor or not, or if they are completely landless. This makes it easy to see the efficiency of existing governors and the potential efficiency of a character you might want to appoint as one. For the emperor of an administrative realm, this is handy for deciding who to appoint as governors, if they have the necessary influence. For noble family heads, this is a good indicator of which family members will perform well, and would therefore be good candidates for investment. Sometimes these considerations will, fortunately, overlap, but more often than not, there will be wide-scale political friction against those jockeying for the same governorship. Fun times, yes. It does not yet have eunuch administrators. No, the great snipping. The poor Shire. Governor duties, yes. Let's circle back to being a governor, and the governor trait specifically. As we mentioned above, you'll gain trait experience for performing your duties as a governor. This can be done in multiple ways. For example, you are expected to construct buildings in the holdings you control. There we go. I should have brought this up earlier, but I mean, may as well have waited until it actually gets answered before I ask the question. But I'd been wondering, and I think Jocko is the one who mentioned it first, the previous dev diary, where the question of why would you even build? Why would you build buildings in your governorship if you like wouldn't you want to just spend the gold in ways that benefit you instead of temporary ways like building the stuff in the holdings that you're just leasing from the emperor?
Yeah,
But,
essentially, like, why focus on holding buildings versus just, I'm just gonna build up my estate, right? Because
yeah.
estates is permanent to a dynasty, or at least more permanent than the theme that the emperor has so kindly given you for the time being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you so uh you'll gain trade experience for performing your duties as a governor. This can be done through multiple ways. You are expected to construct buildings in the holdings you control. As I was saying, there we go. Whenever a building finishes its construction, you'll gain some trade experience, as well as some minor amounts of influence. Very nice. The primary way of leveling up your governor trait is by solving what we call governor issues. These appear on the map, most often in the form of various issues you have to deal with, for you to address as soon as you are able. Perhaps you have a large bandit presence to deal with, utilizing your martial skill, or perhaps you have villagers complaining about an evil presence haunting them, pleading for your help. No, don't save that. Your attention is required. Outlaws and unruly nomads beset this region of your theme. For locals to be safe, for traders to move freely, they need to be dealt with. So if you succeed, you could choose to gain trait experience. You may choose between an assortment of rewards, including. Okay, yeah. Trait experience, gold, influence, prestige, piety. Improvements to your counties or holdings. Woo-hoo-hoo. They styling with the Byzantine clothes in this update. They're popping off with them
They are.
hats. That is a. I want this. I want one of those that would fit. See, like it would make my head look just like it's just big, because it would just seem like an enlarged head on me. The eunuch thing makes a lot of sense. The first son was meant for a noble career, the second for a church career, and the third lost his willy to become a bureaucrat. That makes sense.
Jesus.
Makes perfect sense, yes. Most of the governor issues are problems you have to solve in some way, but not all of them are issues. They can appear as opportunities or as rewards for being at the right place at the right time. If you have baronies with farmland terrain present, you might enjoy a higher chance to reap the benefits of a bountiful harvest, allowing you to choose what to do with the surplus. Are you the diligent governor who provides for the people, increasing development and granting you some governor trait XP in the process? Or perhaps you would rather donate it to charity and gain some piety? Or are you the type of governor to sell it and keep the gold for yourself, losing governor XP in the process? Yes. And there is the
Oh,
bountiful
that's
harvest.
that's actually okay. It might just be me, but I do like the fact that the quote unquote negative isn't just a modifier; it directly affects like your governor trait
I
XP,
do like that,
which
yes.
because I mean, one, it obviously just makes sense. You're just being an actively worse governor, but it's like also listen, you know, modifiers, like who cares about modifiers? Oh, minus 10% taxes for 5 years. In 5 years you're probably not going to rule the theme anymore. Like um but as a character, it gives a lot more weight, as in, listen, do you want to go for this like really like short term, like, buff, like steal some gold, or do you want to be a better governor, which short term is not going to have a lot of effects, but in 10 years, you're going to have accumulated quite a lot more XP than if you didn't go with the good option, which I think it just adds a bit more of a thinking weight to which option should I take. Because you could play one character and you're like, listen, I already have 30 stewardship. Why do I need this +2? I already make +4 influence a month. Whereas if you play with a character that doesn't necessarily have a lot of influence and you kind of need to bank on the governor trait to get your influence, now it's like, okay, crap, I actually want to take the good option. So, because if I go with the worst option, I'm not going to be making any influence, thereby removing myself from doing anything in the admin government. So that is a really cool change in terms of affecting XP that I find personally.
Right. As an aside, you may also notice the colorful new art gracing the title of the event shown above. I, I guess.
You may not have noticed the red arm.
Is that a reference to something?
Yes.
I don't understand
Hey,
that
don't mind.
reference. Yes. What is he talking about specifically here? Colored banners to all event titles. Oh, so the purple here. Oh, okay. So that they match the relevant icon. This is of course editable in script if you wish to insert a custom art in the mod. Aren't events already Don't events already have themes that have certain colors? I swear that's already a thing.
Only the things in the top left-hand corner. So they've now extended that to the entire banner there at the top.
Oh, the banner too. Yeah, it was just the icon before. Okay. That's actually
Such
pretty
a
cool.
subtle change, didn't even notice it.
No, I didn't. It's neat, but I did. But it's a sort of thing that I think the subtle pink and purple banner wasn't the best example of something that would catch my attention for it either. Uh, if it was something like all gold, that would probably be like, oh, or all red. I'd probably notice things like that more than this darker color that's like fading into the background. Uh, yes. But that is more moddable stuff for art is neat, yes, of course. Regardless of the situation, the overall format is fairly straightforward. If the issue appears in a barony that isn't your capital, you'll usually have to travel there in order to solve it. Once there, some issues will require you to first succeed before you can pick a solution, usually in the form of a skill duel. Whoa. It's time to If you succeed, you are presented with a few different options on how to tackle the issue at hand. The options are typically randomized, but the number of options available depends on the level of your governor trait, giving you a greater selection of options as you gain more experience. Every option offers slightly different rewards. You may gain varying amounts of trade experience. Some will offer you some gold or prestige. Perhaps your character gets a modifier with some long-term benefits, etc. Titles for sale. What is just going on here? Religious titles and offices.
That's some nice art in the background. Bloody hell.
Church. He's holding the stick.
Oh, that's interesting. I always thought it was only the Emperor, because all the previous screenshots we had was like of the Emperor having this like nice stance with that, I don't
Yeah,
know, rod of
the
office,
staff,
I guess.
the staff rod thing is like over their shoulder in some pictures. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Cool.
Like, did confiscate the gold for yourself. Yes. Wonderful. You would get governor issues every few years or so. They are not meant to be very frequent, but still something that you get on a somewhat regular basis. The issues you will get, to some extent, reflect your theme and how it is being managed. They offer a unique experience that it is you, the governor, who has the responsibility to manage the land you are appointed to and solve any issues that may appear, unlike a feudal structure where each subject has to manage their own lands. Administration type. Each governorship has one of several administration types assigned to it. Okay. These come in a few different flavors, very much inspired by the different themes of the Byzantine Empire. There are 6 available types. Oh yeah, I wonder. Yeah, and we've seen that one's for stewardship, so I wonder what all 6 of those different types are. All offering bonuses such as an increased tax contribution, new CBs, increased legitimacy for the liege, and much more. Each type, other than the default, also has an associated increase to the owner's governor efficiency. But let's take a look at each of them and see what they do. Balanced. Well, unsurprising, okay. Balanced administration is your default and does not change or add anything drastic, but it is available to everyone and has no associated drawbacks. The main benefit will be for the governor, who gets increased Increased trade experience, increasing the speed at which they'll be able to level up their trade. Okay, that's very effective, I imagine, for like whoever like a new governor is. It would probably be quicker, like on average, that way for that for like your typical governor to become uh, effective at their job because they gain more XP. But them gaining more XP means that they could more they'd be more able to waste it by just stealing stuff. Yeah. Available administration type, you change it, will not accept. Oh, you have to. uh, so if you're gonna change it, the governor would have to accept it. Or maybe this is them asking to be changed. I don't know. Probably someone, probably the emperor asking to change it. Civilian, saw this one earlier. A civilian administration is all about improving the economy and encouraging overall development. An empire won't last long without a solid foundation, after all. Here, the governor also gains a bonus to their efficiency based on their stewardship. Old man yawn. All of it comes at the cost of reduced military capabilities, but surely a theme tucked away safely in the heartlands of Anatolia is in no danger, right? Very funny, yes. The blue background is behind the governor, so that's the player. Oh. Oh, you're right. Yes, very cheeky. Well pointed out, Zoltron. Thank you. So it is in fact the player wanting to swap to a civilian administration because they, in this context, you might want to change to civilian so that you get more taxes to try and embezzle. I'm sure that this is civilian's probably pretty common. That's probably pretty common for people to want to be. It's probably pretty common for someone to want to be a civilian administration because I imagine that it would be very effective to play as a stewardship governor, where you just make tons of money and can upgrade your manor house and build up your permanent family foundation before over time swapping over to perhaps doing more diplomatic shenanigans to gain influence. I don't know. Rushing down influence early to get your family on as many, just a ton of different governorships could also probably be effective. I don't know. Sounds like there's a lot of fun ways you could play this. Military. The opposite of a civilian administration. Military admin focuses on troops by increasing the number of troops you have access to and keeping the land safe. Marshal is the name of the game, and the governor gets an efficiency bonus from their own martial skill. The drawback is that you'll greatly reduce the theme's economic output. But you know what they say, the best defense is a good offense. Well put. Larger size for the titles men-at-arms regiments, and they just get a boost to damage and control and levies. That could be quite strong indeed. That's yeah. Right, but now I want to see. Please explain. Yeah, what does Frontier do? Very curious about that. Here is where things start getting interesting. A frontier administration can only be used for themes along the border. Gosh, after the end is just like they're getting all their work done for them with this. Holy, they tried so long to get that Brazilian government type working, and now it's just like, oh, here it's just done for them now.
This is precisely why we didn't want to waste time making our own.
Yeah, this is really good. I am really liking everything that I'm seeing so far. God damn. It gives the governor some hefty defensive bonuses to give you a much easier time defending against invasions. It also gives the vassal access to a new CB duchy expansion. Duchy expansion! This allows the vassal to expand the realm more easily without the emperor having to go to war. Duchy expansion. Huh. That probably doesn't expand. Like, that would probably... I'm confused, though. Surely, by doing such an expansion war, that would... Then, like, if it's a duchy expansion, wouldn't you be then taking... Is it expanding by a whole duchy? Are you conquering another...
I think it's like a ducal conquest, essentially.
Yeah. But then surely that would make you no longer a frontier. Surely that would make the next place the frontier. Huh. I'm very curious how that works in practice. Interesting. But here's, alright, what's the nitty-gritty of this? Defender advantage +8. Mind you, that's only for the vassal themselves, so. But hostile so hostile attrition, hostile raiding time +75%. Holy!
Yeah.
The Emperor is going to be able to show up so easily in time to stop raids then. Yeah.
Which is kind of the
I mean,
point. Imagine
yeah,
sticking that on, like, the Caucasian mountains, and you've basically got the gates of hell.
Yeah.
Raiders.
Oh, ain't nobody getting through a frontier administration Caucasus Mountains in the Byzantine Empire. Jeez. I am very curious, like, the whole interplay between military and frontier. Because I could see, when I think about the way that this might work, I could imagine if this works the way I imagine, if you have, like, a king tier administrative realm in your country, you might make a kingdom region a military administration kingdom that you want to go expanding for you, and to expand the empire. But then you would still have the frontier, like, dukes underneath them. Maybe. I don't know how that works though. See. Here we get to Imperial. Imperial administration is inspired by how certain themes within the Byzantine Empire were considered to have a higher seniority than others. It would lead to a few themes be seen as more prestigious and more valued compared to other themes. As such, a theme under Imperial administration provides a lot of prestige and leans more into the influence and political part of an administrative realm. Only a single theme can have the Imperial administration. So, there is just one. Okay. There is one theme in the entire empire that has this. And it's just straight bonuses for everyone involved. Makes the liege more legitimate. And more prestigious the more legitimate they are. And, makes the governor become more efficient at their job faster the more prestigious they are. Very interesting. It increases the powerful family rating. Cannot have appointment revoked without a title revocation reason. Very interesting. Gosh. That's going to be a lot of fun, I imagine. There we go. All right. Naval. What the hell is this? Because there's no navies. There's no navies. It's like, so.
Yeah, like, read the first paragraph.
Right,
it was.
Byzantium wouldn't feel complete without some form of a naval-themed, theme. Before you get hopeful for naval combat or naval men-at-arms, let me stop you right there. We are not introducing any new naval mechanic with this release. Don't say it like that. Don't say it like that, my guy.
Oh, that's
Don't
true.
do that.
That's
Don't
true.
give them hope.
Don't do this. Don't do this.
They're just feeding the hopium machine.
Yeah, they are. A naval administration can be seen as something in between civilian and frontier. It gives you some economic advantages by increasing the development growth, portrayed as increased trade and overall naval activity, as well as some military perks. The governor gains access to the Naval Duchy Expansion CB, alongside bonuses such as reduced embarkation cost and coastal advantage, making it considerably easier to invade other realms across the Mediterranean. It goes without saying that the theme has to be situated on the coast for it to be naval. Dark pops up at that instantly. I want boats. I mentioned how much I want. Yes, you've talked about wanting boats a lot. Realms contend when? I imagine you're saying realms content when. I mean I don't well in
They'll
earlier
never be.
start dates. We're
They'll
gonna
never be content until we give
yeah.
them the content.
Yes, they will not. Yeah. I think quite I mean surely the Pelargir would be naval administration, for example.
Yeah, probably. It's either that or civilian because it's
hmm
economic.
The only economic bonus that naval gives is development growth, interestingly.
Yeah. Still, I do enjoy this view of like this theme administration. A lot of it fits in a very broad perspective really well in just categorizing things. I mean, just thinking about Angmar start Gondor, if we ever get to working on it,
Yeah,
more at least.
the entire province of Dorrunen is a frontier.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so
That I mean,
and
conveniently enough,
like
it's probably something that we'd be able to represent as a kingdom tier frontier vassal.
yeah, and I mean, Joffrey, like you mentioned, you could have like Pelargir being a naval. I don't know, Umbar. What would Umbar be? Probably civilian or maybe naval as well.
Umbar would be
I guess
naval
it.
the most. That is the most obviously naval
Yeah.
themed province.
Okay. Okay. True. I'm just like trying to think like, what is it at this point, right? Because like stuff has kind
In
of
Angmar?
stabilized down in the south.
In
Yeah.
Angmar,
Well,
I
yeah,
would
yeah.
say
Angmar
Angmar, and it would
and
probably be naval down there, and then you'd probably make Lebanon civilian because that's your cosmopolitan heartland area alongside
yeah.
Anorian.
You could probably have like the Duchy of Pelargir. I would think be something like naval, right?
Yeah, you could
And
probably.
Lebanon and
But
then
here's the thing: depending on how kingdom tier administrative vassals work, it's probably a case where a kingdom tier administrative subject also needs a duchy that is their primary like appointment. So you
oh, that's true.
probably it would probably if you made like whatever you make their kingdom tier is also the duchy. I imagine.
Oh yeah,
So
that is probably just for
yeah,
simplicity.
if you had at all like I don't know of like how many of the different provinces would even be given kingdom tier realms in the Angmar Wars. But if there was a Pelargir kingdom tiered realm as a subject, then whatever its kingdom tier is probably also its ducal tier. Uh,
Yeah. Oh
Wait, are
wow,
there
I'm just
not going
looking
to
at
be
this.
any admin governor rulers in the 3000? Yeah, in the War of the Ring, we are really struggling to come up with any administrative government people in the Third Age. Well, specifically the War of the Ring. I mean, uh, it's a struggle because definitely not
Yeah.
Gondor,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
Gondor, not Rune, not Mordor, not
No
Umbar,
elves.
not the
Yeah.
elves.
So it's like there's like
Not the
aspects of
dwarves.
admin government that
I
we
mean,
can.
actually, the dwarves could be in it. That the dwarves. No, I hadn't considered that.
Yeah, dwarves could work.
We don't know anything
It's like
about how the
there's
dwarves handle their
More,
subjects.
more, more. Basically, in Third Age 3000, there is no good like we can immediately take this administrative government as it has been laid out and apply it. There are bits and pieces that would work really well with some factions on the map, but none that's
Hmm.
like we can just copy paste.
yeah.
You
There's
get
nothing.
examples
Yeah.
like you get like Ray, where it's like maybe, but we don't know how well it works with kingdoms. That's the
Mm-hmm.
other thing is we don't know, and then there's the whole like official state religion is a thing with them, and we don't know how that affects it. So a lot of it is going to have to come down to when we get our hands on it. But for example, you get like Ray is something I could maybe see, but I don't know. We don't know how it would work. And then you have like the Storm Host, which is technically not feudal, but all of its subjects except one are. So,
Yeah.
Tolwang, we
But
could
literally
potentially
two
make.
vassals.
Yeah, they basically only have two vassals. Yeah, but like we could theoretically with the Storm Host make it administrative, for example, and then Tolwang would become a kingdom tier administrative subject, and maybe we could change up their because they've got some native vassals in the east. Maybe we could change that if we wanted more, but it's I don't know, man. I don't know, man.
But yeah, in short, it's basically there's a lot of like nitpicking of the features that fit well, but the admin government as it stands doesn't fit a lot or basically any of our current realms. Like in earlier start dates, it fits certain realms a lot more, like pre-feudalized Gondor. Like this admin government with a few changes, from, at least from what I've seen, could basically fit wholesale into like pre like what's called Kinstrife Gondor,
Hmm.
with a few minor changes. But I mean, yeah, like Joffrey and Vector both have said, like in War of the Ring, all of the realms that like could have feudalized from administrative have already. Um,
Uh,
like, and then you've got
Arnor,
places like
for example.
Dorwinion where it's like, yeah, then you've got places like Dorwinion, like, oh, estates could work really nice, with like your merchant lords and so forth. But at the same time, they don't really follow the admin government system, especially not with the, emperor being a really powerful. There are a lot more like merchant states just combined into one big state type thing. Everyone has an equal say, sort of. Some are just more equal than others, but don't tell some of the Dorwinian lords that.
And I don't really. People keep saying Mordor could work, but I really don't see any way we could make Mordor work. I just don't see it. I don't know how you would make that function, because no one wants to like what if we would have to rework the way admin works and be like, oh yeah, the emperor needs to reassign titles. Like every time an orc dies, he picks a new person because we don't want the orcs voting and spending influence. It's like what? But then no one can play. But then suddenly it's like, well, now you can't play an orc subject because you can't continue playing when you die. He's just gonna you're gonna lose your title, and Sauron will appoint a new one. But we also don't want orcs jockeying for positions by spending influence. To be like, oh, please, Senpai Sauron, notice me and give me this uh
But
imperial themed theme. Ah,
but Joffrey, what about the orc manor houses? My orcish estate, some prime real estate cave right here, for sale.
ah, yes, prime cave
Because
right
yeah,
there. Oh,
yeah,
can you
because
imagine
I do
if we like
yeah,
what then
it's
happens with the Nerniags, for example? Like the Nerniags are like a good example of someone that you like would want to be administrative, but if you have them in a realm with Sauron, as soon as a Nerniag dies, he's gonna be like, well, time to put an orc there.
yeah. No, it's I do think it's something that I mean, we'll just have to see internally, once the DLC releases, in terms of how moddable is it. Because, I mean, I agree with, at least, like, at first glance, it looks like, oh, administrative government could be fun for Mordor. But I think, like, the more you look into it, it kind of just comes up with more problems. Because, at least from, like, the two dev diaries we have, you kind of need estates alongside admin governments. Otherwise, like, an entire dynasty can just be wiped out. Their title, it's inherited by someone else. You kind of need your estate to not only be a fallback on, like, currencies and so forth, but also, like, hey, if you really, really played shit in the political game and you lose all your titles, and you hit rock bottom, you hit rock bottom with your estate next to you, which keeps you, functionally at least in gameplay terms, keeps you, from game over. Whereas if you take the estates out, oh, you died as an orc, well, game over, because Sauron just yoinked your title and gave it to the orc that has 5 more prowess. Screw you. So I mean, it's not something I would ever write out, but I do think it's one of those cases where it's definitely just gonna have to wait till we can get our hands on it and see in what ways we can modify it.
Oh, admin for Isengard and Saruman. That's literally the same issue as Sauron. Like, it is exactly the same problem. Do you want the Uruk-hai having noble families? This is the Lurtz. This is the Lurtz noble family of orcs, and they're going around being like, "Well, please appoint my nephew to be the governor of this place, dear Lord Saruman the Wise of many colors and all that." Uh,
Oh my word.
That not to be too weird, but his other possible options are Stinky Dunlendings
yes.
participating in Byzantine court intrigue, doing all that sort of stuff.
Oh my word. Can you just
You have,
imagine
yeah, Thurin's family would
Saruman,
be one of the noble families. He would be one of the
Saruman
people.
politicking with a bloody backwater? He's like, no, listen, this is the best way to do this. And then this, like, sneaky nephew of Fredane thinking he's being a political mastermind. He's like, no, this is the best plan. And then just
Oh,
absolutely, like, hangs Fredane's entire legitimacy into the ground.
Uruk-hai and Thurin's descendants, like, fucking throwing hands in Byzantine court intrigue to see who gets the governorship of Rohan.
Prima shall prevail.
God. You could get around it by the orcs having a special orcish government. Oh god! Oh god! Here we go! Oh
Yeah.
no!
I mean, like, we've looked at having an orcish government, but actually modeling an orcish government that is fun to play and
Yeah,
also kind of
because
represents how we see orcish governments, at least how we have it in a, like, mod or slash how we interpret it, doesn't lend itself to interesting gameplay, which is a negative
yeah,
because obviously we
people
want interesting gameplay.
we have not yet found a compelling way to have orcs differentiated because surprisingly enough, people don't seem to particularly appreciate constantly being challenged for their throne or
What a
schemed
shock!
against and undermined.
Yeah. So it's like,
uh,
I mean, of course, yeah. So basically,
Because the,
yes,
the
it
thing
would be
about
in.
orcs is even the most feared and dreaded orc, inevitably there's an idiot who thinks they're a big shot and that they can manage to do overthrow you. Don't matter if you're Azog, it don't matter if you're the Great Goblin. There's always going to be another idiot orc who
Snaga
wants
Yeah,
to cause
and
large.
exist, and Snaga in Lord of the Rings are like the Skaven of Warhammer, like the Skaven of Lord of the Rings, where there's always some idiot Snaga who's like, "Oh, that guy who's 3 times as tall as me, and I've got a hunchback, and I can't walk straight, and I have this like gangly walk. Oh, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna stab him in the back, and then I'll be the big boss. And they think that they'll pull it off. And you know what? Every once in a while, they're right. 1 in 10 times, that idiot Snaga is right, and he does manage to stab the big orc.
99% of Snaga stop right before they're about to achieve untold glory and power.
Listen. Maybe we'll have to take a look. Maybe it's possible, but I highly doubt. Like, there's always a chance that if we look at the way that the different administrative types work, maybe it's possible that there could be some sort of like, oh, you make this is specifically an orcish type of governorate, and that one always and only has orcs, and maybe you could do something with it. But the thing is, I don't think any of us care. So few of us care enough that there's like one guy that you would be Juke. Juke would be the guy on the dev team to care enough to like look into doing stuff like that. Because like, hey, if someone else wants to, y'all are more than welcome to look into it as well and join us and have that conversation. But the thing is, there's just not many of us who care much about orcs.
Yeah, and especially not trying to make an uninteresting mechanic interesting and also follow the lore, because yeah, like I said, someone coming up to you and being like stabby isn't really that fun out of a gameplay perspective. But at the same time, orcish governments that aren't really that high functioning. It kind of just goes down to stabby. So
Yeah, orcs run by
Yeah.
Grog beat Monk in the head with a bone.
James, James,
Yeah.
you're talking about imagine a Snaga trying to usurp Sauron's throne. You know the reason that the Emperor tier title for goblins is biggest boss is because there is a scene in the books where Sam is sneaking around listening to some goblins talking, and he hears them talking about how sometimes even the biggest boss isn't all like, they're like hushed tones being like they're talking about Sauron as the biggest boss and being like, some, I don't know, even he's not always right. Trying to like plot against him. So they will do it. The problem is, for them, of course, they won't succeed, but they'll do it. They are rebellious by nature.
Ratbag will come.
Ratbag's dominion over
Shadow of
Mordor will come.
Ratbags.
Oh, we
All
keep
hail Ratbag
even
the
having
Great and Terrible.
y'all will be, maybe y'all will be surprised by this, but it's actually a very frequent internal debate among the dev team whether or not humans of any sort are actually able to command orcs. Because there are some of us who think that orcs are just too unmanageable to be controlled by any humans, and it's a constant debate about whether or not the Nerniags have any authority over orcs at all, for example. But perhaps I should move us along to talking about Imperial troops, which you two had mentioned to a degree to me earlier, but I'm curious what the minutia is here. The Byzantine military was... The Byzantine military was primarily made up of organized armies and well-drilled troops, led by highly skilled commanders. They tend to rely on professional troops and less on levied soldiers, at least during the later centuries of the Empire's existence. We are introducing a new system to represent this, one where both governors and the Emperor are able to recruit and keep men-at-arms for their titles. Title men-at-arms are recruited directly to the held title of duchy tier or above, not including noble family titles, and are then raised like any other type of troops. Since they belong to a title, these are not a character's personal troops. They get to be kept upon succession. Yes. When you lose a title that has men-at-arms, these troops will follow the title itself and be made available to the next holder. In other words, these troops will pass from governor to governor, regardless of who that new governor is. Let's get a closer look at this. Imperial armies, the army of Anatolikon, Cappadocia, Antioch. What truly powerful armies these are. Truly, this displays the might of the Empire in all its glory.
Hey, I see some new men-arms. That's all I'm focusing on, or at least some new icons.
Huh. What the heck?
Like, yeah, like those three.
What are these? Because that's skirmishers still. Skirmishers, spears, horse, sword and shield, which is like the heavy infantry icon. But are these for unique? Like, oh, these are probably for, that's a unique skirmisher, that's a unique heavy infantry, and that's a unique spearman? Maybe? Maybe they're just loading up the Byzantines with unique men-at-arms now. Total Imperial strength, 9,001. It is a big number, yes. I'm curious about that and how this works. Can you, like, can the Emperor raise all Imperial troops? Can they just grab the entire Imperial army? Or is it, because there's also just your armies? How does that differ? It's over 9,000. It is over 9,000. No. Oh, what does the scouter say about the Empire's strength? Oh, God. These new men-at-arms include some of the obvious advantages for an administrative realm. The Empire's military strength is significantly higher than those of other realms, since the Emperor will have access to a lot more men-at-arms through his governors. The Emperor has the ability to borrow armies managed by these governors, effectively taking command of a governor's titled troops directly. He can also reassign a governor's army to another governorship, allowing the corresponding governor to use them instead. Taking or reassigning troops can be done by spending influence. If you, as the Emperor, have the influence to spare, you can get access to a tremendous amount of men-at-arms, allowing for you to beat your enemies with ease, which brings us to the original version of the administrative realms. When well managed, we want them to perform exceedingly well and be very powerful in comparison to other government types. The Empire has a clear benefit by having access to a much greater pool of men-at-arms to draw from when expanding its borders or defending itself against enemies. But it also means that the governors have a lot more punching power should they end up in a position where they dislike the emperor or are coerced into joining claimant factions. Civil wars will be frequent and pose a substantial threat. The influence cost for taking or reassigning troops varies depending on your situation. The cost is reduced slightly for defensive wars, for example, giving you an easier time to defend yourself. When you are fighting offensive wars, on the other hand, taking troops from governors who are far away from the front line will cost you a lot more influence. This creates a fine balance where you have to consider how you are waging your wars. You have to be mindful of how much influence you have available and where the troops are coming from in order to make the most of your governor's armies. Very interesting. Oh. That's so you could assigning government types specifically because you want them to have larger armies on the frontier. Oh, there's an icon. There's an icon for a type of men-at-arm there. A Rudzi. And then there's these, which I imagine are just cataphracts having icons. Oh! 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 The Byzantine Empire army! It's the Varangian Guards of glory and of might. Red as blood and black as night and all that.
Quite a lot of new men-at-arms are, bloody hell. That's...
Yes. I love me new Varangian Guard, yes. Oh boy. They're gonna have so... This is gonna add so many men-at-arms to Byzantium, that's crazy. And it shows, yeah, it's like 100 influence cost. But since you're fighting a defensive war... Oh! Minus 25 for being a defensive war, and army owner is within a war target. Oh! So it's more easy to grab their men because this governorate is being attacked as well. That makes sense, yeah. Gosh. Paul, you're making me think of what this would actually do if Sauron was an administrative realm and could just spend influence to yoink all of the crappy governor title men-at-arms, which is just endless hordes of trashy orcish rabble, and just like, give me all of the numbers. Title men-at-arms have two further considerations. They can be stationed just like personal men-at-arms. The governor is expected to recruit troops for their theme and station them within the theme's domain. Additionally, title men-at-arms are affected by the governor's efficiency. Ooh, just as the efficiency increases or decreases the amount of taxes of a holding, so too will the efficiency affect the stats of the title's troops. Yes, this does mean that if you have really good governor abilities, their troops are going to pack quite a punch. A great boon when you can find and appoint highly skilled governors, as long as they're on your side, of course. If they rise in rebellion against you, you'll be fighting against significantly better troops. Most governors will, however, generally have a lower efficiency and decrease the efficiency of their troops accordingly. And so the example we have just actively reducing by 25% the effectiveness of the bowmen. They're bad governor. That's great.
Lord, imagine that applied to Snaga. Oh. It's like, let me hire some orcs that do 0 damage. This is exactly what I need.
Lore accurate Mordor army. You have Sauron just spending influence to grab all of those orcish rabble armies, and then they're made even weaker, so they have just one. Their stats are just one.
At that point, oh, that's just sad.
Oh.
Just my random, like, levy peasant beating up 10 orcs before succumbing.
Your average human peasant would be 10 times more effective. That's fantastic. Oh. To further balance the much larger pool of available men-at-arms, we have done several things. The overall limit and regiment size is notably lower for title men-at-arms than it is for personal men-at-arms. As the realm expands, you'll have more titles and thus gain more troops. These really add up over time, so limiting how many regiments each title can have makes a lot of sense. Currently, the limit for titles does not increase with eras or innovations, meaning that expanding the realm is the primary way to get more of them, which meshes well with the idea that an administrative realm is meant to become a large and sprawling empire. Another balancing factor is that admin rulers will have less space for personal men-at-arms. Both the regular men-at-arms limit and men-at-arms size are reduced, allowing them to field less personal troops than other government types. The availability of title troops makes up for it to a large extent, though. The focus here is, after all, less on personal troops and more on providing the Empire with efficient armies. Admin types, as a result, focus on men-at-arms. As a result of the focus on men-at-arms, also have a lot less emphasis on levies. We reduced the amount of levies overall by a flat 50%. Whew! Making levies largely irrelevant. Remember that a governor's efficiency may also reduce the amount of levies further, should their efficiency be below 0. That's... Huh. that would very much be something to have to take into account in regards to, like, if a dwarf was admin, for example. They
That's
would
true
be even
because
less
yeah,
levies.
yeah, because also not only that, but if you appoint a governor like a dwarf governor, you're appointing him for like the next 100 years. So
And
it's like,
they're
oh yeah,
really good. Dwarf characters become so good.
yeah.
Oh, by the time they die, they would be crazy. For good or ill.
True.
But
Yeah, yeah.
jeez.
That's true. Imagine having a revolt that you're like, oh, it's fine. Look at your 5 vassals are revolting. All of them have max governance. Just
Buzz
rising up.
Redoom. Buzz Redoom popping off.
Oh, that's true.
Ah. Necromancers in EK2 or else. I don't I don't think in Elder Kings you can I don't think you can land skeletons. I played Necromancers in Elder Kings, but I could not land uh I could not I don't think I could land my skeletons and make them vassals, which was very sad because I was very keen on playing a direct rule from London-esque necromancer lich who just made a bunch of skelly boys. You could land vampires, yeah, I guess, but that's lame. I want skelly boys. They look cool. Administrative dwarves would, in fact, be absolutely cracked. Yes. Um, and that's crazy to think of. Gosh, stuff to test out in future, I suppose. All right. Imperial bureaucracy. Next meme. Administrative realms have a new law which replaces crown authority, named Imperial bureaucracy. By and large, the effects are quite similar to authority, but they focus more heavily on the features that make admin government stand out. A few of the effects worth mentioning. Vassal titles cannot be inherited outside of the realm, starting at level 1. So you instantly cannot have your feudal subjects being inherited outside of the realm. You can't if you've got a duchy, for example, inside of your feudal realm. You can't, as Gondor, I suppose, have Belfalos be inherited by some Northron if they make such a foolish decision as to marry a Northron. But no one in Angmar start date Gondor is going to be marrying a Northman. That would be silly and would cause untold chaos.
Of course not. Of course not. I will say I'm glad they implemented that because it is the most annoying thing to get that notification of your realm will lose this land if your vassal dies, and then you see this random person halfway across the world is somehow related to this man you appointed to this title, and then he dies, and then India controls some land in the British Isles.
It does not, mind you, it does not let people inherit things that way outside of your realm in vanilla if you are a high authority realm. It only lets people inherit stuff out of your realm when you have low authority as a feudal country. So this is just makes it always happen. You always can't inherit outside of a administrative realm.
I mean
Only,
yeah.
it's a good thing
But
because I mean you're
yeah,
only going to have so many feudal subjects, but
yeah,
still it's
that's true.
nice. It makes me have a little more incentive to have that happening.
So the emperor can imprison you and revoke your titles. So you can try your luck, but it's a crime. So
Looks like the stream dropped there, but I think it's back.
yeah, I think so.
Are we back yet? All right. Okay, it's back. Nice. But Vector was saying that apparently that instantly makes you a criminal if you attack a governor, which makes sense. I would imagine that to be the case. Rest in peace, Belfalas, trying to conquer all their way through Lebanon. It's not allowed, no. We must steal that implementation and make it so that elven government, if an elf attacks another elf, they're instantly a criminal for any reason. I kind of want to. This is making me more and more want to revisit elf governments and see if we could take some interesting
Yeah,
things from
I've
this.
had some thoughts. I've had some thoughts. So
Okay. Well, this has been going on. This is a long one, but so we don't need to ramble about that right now. But this DLC isn't coming out for a bit yet, so we'll have time.
you are not Joffrey the Rambler.
I may as well be, and would even consider taking that name if it wasn't for the fact that there is already a YouTuber named The Rambler. So, higher levels only increase the tax contribution of admin vassals. Okay. So it is just more effective as an administrative government to not have other types of vassals. War declarations for non-administrative vassals are heavily imposed with each consecutive levels. At max level, they are unable to declare war outright. Yes. The highest level reduces the cost for the emperor to take command of governor's troops. I think this is all very interesting. Yes, I think that is fun. Another significant difference is that only the top liege can change the bureaucracy level. All administrative vassals will simply follow suit automatically, using whichever level the liege has. Not only will the vassals not have to worry about changing their own laws, but it enforces the feeling that you are a part of something bigger. You don't set the laws, you follow the laws decided upon by those further up the hierarchy. Make sense? I think that is going to increase that general vibe. Yes. Oh, so your liege changes the laws, and it makes you over time change to be it. So that's also cool because it's like the liege passes a law, and then throughout the realm it slowly spreads. That's also very cool. Whoa, vassal limit plus 100. Oh boy, yeah, screw having kingdom tier bureaucratic vassals. Just,
You know,
just pump out tons of duchies. Hmm. Non-administrative vassals cannot wage war against other vassals unless they have a hook on the lead. Already with tier 2! With tier 2, you already need a hook on the liege to declare wars. Whew.
yeah, it looks like, and I think overall is a good part, like a good thing with like what we saw earlier in them expanding intrigue and so forth. But it does look like they're trying to, at least gameplay wise, force the player to interact more diplomatically and intrigue with the empire. You know, actually use your influence. Because I mean, what's the use of having an admin government if a player can still just go martial and crap on everyone, right? Whereas if you kind of like force them to like, hey, listen, you need to actually care about your family's influence in this
Mm-hmm.
wider empire, then it kind of forces them to interact with all the systems, which is usually what makes gameplay a bit more fun. Um, yeah. So I think that's probably what they're aiming to do. Because yeah, it's like at tier 2 already. Like that.
Paul, as you're asking, yes, in earlier start dates specifically, uh, Gondor is no longer administrative by the War of the Ring. They have, funnily enough, the Angmar War's start date is going to see the conflict that caused the proper feudalization of the rest of Gondor through the Kinstrife. In the Angmar War start, however, Gondor will be at it will be at a rather large extent. So Gondor will be a very large realm. It will be administrative, and there will be relatively few subjects in Gondor that will not be administrative. Chief among those being Belfalas, the Principality of Dol Amroth. Is in fact hereditary and has been held by the same line since before the realms in exile were founded. So it's a bit of an exception there. Golden Age Gondor, indeed. Yes. Golden Age Gondor will be administrative, but after Castamere does a funny, it will not be anymore. And hello, team. Yes, I'm not been a little caught up with stuff to be playing more of the Forgotten City, but doing podcast stuff discussing we are discussing Crusader Kings. Yes. Honestly, can anything but Dol Amroth be feudal? I don't know. That's the one we know of. So if there was anything other than Dol Amroth that was feudal in the Angmar Wars, we would have to come up with one and be like, wow, this is a cool idea. I guess. I can't think of any that would obviously be other. Maybe. No, Harondor was probably a governor as well. I don't know. We know that Harondor was ruled by a relative of Castamere during the whole kinstrife there, but that very well might have been just because a governor was appointed from his family. This is my first stream not about Forgotten City that was recommended to you. Oh well, yes. I do the primary thing that I do on my YouTube channel is well, these days it's mostly been discussing dev diaries about Paradox games, specifically Crusader Kings, and their upcoming unannounced quote-unquote title, very secret. But I also am a developer on the Realms in Exile mod for Crusader Kings, so I do streams of that sometimes, as well as other things. Mainly thinking it seems to be a big honor that they have feudal status, so it seems unlikely that any other would have it. I don't know. Oh! The Numenorians are pretty far down my list of factions I like in Lord of the Rings, so it's not really my wheelhouse. There is in fact an Elder Scrolls mod for Crusader Kings, yes. We are of course superior. We are the Lord of the Rings mod, and we always stay up to date. Yes. The Elder Scrolls one is they're half a year behind. They haven't updated in quite some time now. Best not even to worry about them, honestly. Any vassals of other government types will still retain their corresponding authority law, crown or tribal. These work as per the usual, where the vassal can change the level independently. Of course, that makes sense, yes. State faith. Ooh! Change or plus. What do those mean? Princes of Darkness, no. We are the supreme. Yes, we are the supreme, most updated total conversion mod. You go sit in your corner again. I stick my nose up at you in your direction. Harumph. Yes, truly much better. State faith. With the variance of leadership and governance that occurs within admin realms, the time has finally come to implement a feature like state faith. In admin realms, the faith of the top liege and the faith associated with the empire in general have been separated. Two buttons for decisions to change or adopt the faith. Oh. For example, Byzantium may well see multiple iconoclast or Bogomolist emperors come and go throughout the years, while remaining orthodox at its core. That's not to say one of these emperors can't change the state faith, which is done through a new decision, though at great cost. Change the state faith. Reforming the state faith is a bold move, reshaping the empire's spiritual tradition to match my vision. It will undoubtedly redefine the empire's identity and my legacy as Basilius. State faith of the Byzantine Empire becomes iconoclast. Yes. And every zealot vassal hates you. 5,000 prestige
Oh,
and piety.
yeah, that is insane. I mean, well, considering like, and we don't really have a lot of info on the like start date. We'll get more on that in the next Dev Diary. But I mean, typically you can quite get a lot of prestige and piety the longer you play. I mean, I typically by my third ruler, I'm sitting at a comfortable like 3,000 prestige and piety. Oh wait, yeah,
Did I
that's
not say
influence.
influence? Did I not? I
Oh
meant
yeah,
influence. 5,000 uh, influence and piety. Yes, not prestige and piety. New stuff
I
in
mean,
my Crusader Kings game. Oh gosh.
it's
That
possible. But I mean, Trig. I see Trig says like, yeah, but influence seems like a lot. I mean, consider that like the governor trait alone at max rank gives +5. And if you think about the first Dev Diary, they showed that like having like 3 alliances with different like kings could give you 4.5 like influence per month alone. Not even considering house members, your estate, whether you're on the council, etc. So I think I don't think it'll be super easy, but I think it'll be doable to get into like double figures um in terms of like monthly prestige earnings. And I mean, again, you also just have like your feast hunts and whatnot. And what they showed earlier, you'll also have like your contracts that will get you influence. I do think that like the general way they're just gonna balance it of like, one person just not having a crap ton of influence at a time is you're not going to be forced to, but you're going to be heavily incentivized to just use your influence for getting better positions for your family members, putting yourself onto the
Mhm.
council contracts, getting an appropriate theme for your character and the title you're ruling. So I think it's going to be much more of a problem of like, hey, giving up one opportunity to like
Well,
focus on getting a new state faith versus like, hey, do you really want to change the state faith now, maybe do it as another character and instead try and like strengthen individual positions among governors for this character, and then as your son or your grandson you can like focus on changing the state faith.
but this is changing it specifically. Only the Basilius can do this. So the Basilius may not need to necessarily focus as much on messing, like spending influence to mess around with who uh is on what governorship. Though I imagine you could just as easily spend influence to get your own family members on certain governorships. But uh,
Yeah, and but
I
yeah,
imagine
back into
this is
that,
quite doable. It just will cost a lot.
yeah.
And not be something that the AI is capable of often, because I mean, it's not going to be often that the AI is a different faith, and it won't be often that the AI is capable of being patient enough to take this decision. As in never, because I have problems very frequently where Hus Margaz, for example, isn't willing to not instantly spend his 500 gold to press the decision button to colonize Ravanian. Um, Very annoying. Hmm.
They have more important things to do, like make sure that Virginius the Fourth gets that seat over Chadius the First.
No.
Indeed.
Oops, not that. Right. this further affects how characters within the realm interact with each other. It's harder to get characters to convert away from the state faith, and on the flip side, much easier to get them to start practicing it. Peer pressure goes a long way here.
I
Spend
have to be
influence to
back, but
increase. Oh,
sadly,
he's leaving.
yeah.
No.
So sadly, it's like 12 p.m. So, and
No.
I unfortunately have entered the period where I need to hibernate and get a lot of beauty sleep. So, yes, I'll might be back in a few minutes. So, yes.
He says he's going to
What?
hibernate, but also that he'll be back in a few minutes.
I'm confused. What does he mean?
Do not question the snail.
Question the snail, man. His words are beyond comprehension.
His goals are beyond our comprehension.
Yeah, Zeltron, this DLC is not out yet, but there is room for considering reborn Shreldor doing administrative stuff because people keep asking about it. But the original one would not be. The original one is very far back in time, and it's very much a tribal society learning what feudalism is. So it's like the first proper Easterling feudal state. Proper, quote unquote, Easterling feudal state. So, and we have also debated the subject of Gondor potentially being able to become administrative with Aragorn around. So maybe, but we'll see what we could do. We would have to see how that would work functionally. 11 p.m. for you, but you're going to play Minecraft until 4 a.m.? Minecraft until 4 a.m.? What? You mad lad? What is this? Joff caving to peer pressure. Listen, Trig. At this point, I will take any excuse to have more administrative realms on the map. And yes, I do deserve to be peer pressured after how much I've badgered Vector. Yes. The poor man. I made a manifesto the other day in the Realm server about all the things I've bullied him into conceding over the past while.
He's very good at guilt tripping you, and I feel bad. I feel like I've kicked a puppy whenever I have to tell him no.
But Vector, what if Gimeleth had a unique faith? What if they had were like Adonaic, but
Hey,
like
we added it. We added
I know I did. You gave me the lock, and I'm like, oh, finally, excuse. Slap. Within one day, slap it in there. Druidane and Thaniazon Vector Druidane. And since
you were very fortunate because Jamie was really into getting that one in, so he was big in that camp.
And then when Vector wouldn't give me Swamp Druidane, I convinced him to let me have a Witch Doctor in the swamp. I'll have to show off the Witch Doctor sometime. I just need to figure out what exactly I could stream of Thani Hazard that doesn't mess around with the still very much work in progress Adonai. Oh, goodness. Yes, it was last night that I added the Gimeleth boys. They have the funny hands reach. It took me a while to come up with what I thought an icon for that could look like, and then I realized partway through getting Stable Diffusion to generate that image that I was going to need to tweak it a lot, and it took a very, very long time to get that image working half decently because, fun fact, Stable Diffusion doesn't like hands.
So what I'm hearing is, I haven't looked at it yet, we have some sort of 12-fingered monstrosity hand. Like
No!
something out of freaking Dark Souls.
No, it looks good. It looks good. The icon that I gave the Gimlet Faith is there's a ring that has like leafy vines on it, and there's a hand reaching from above and a hand reaching from below, and they're both trying to grasp at a star.
Oh, that actually does sound pretty good. I'll have to take a look at it.
It's a silver 5-pointed star with two pale hands reaching towards it from above and below. So there's you can make up your symbolism on what it means. I don't know. Is it like the humans reaching up, or is it like the whole, because the faith has like the concept of different waves of teachers like passing on their wisdom. So I don't know, maybe it's the Adonai dropping the star into the hands of the people they're teaching. Maybe it's the Valar. Maybe it's the elves. Maybe it's two people trying to reach it together because everyone's trying to reach the greatness of Numenor. I don't know. You make up your own symbolism. How many fingers does it have? The correct amount. Where can I?
We'll need to update Duray's thing on the bookmark because he still says he's Gorion Anui. Oh yeah, that does look pretty good.
There, I'll just put it out. I'll bring it up on my stream because I'm talking about. There's the hands. They reaching. It has the correct number of fingers. So when Juke tells me that there's no skill involved in AI art, I'll tell him about the hours, the like over an hour I spent tweaking things in GIMP before throwing it back in the generator to make this. Why is it asymmetric? Shush! You silence! Not bad and pretty decent are all I need to hear. Pretty freaking sick is nice too. But now that you mentioned it as well, Paul, I could see that being an Americanist faith from After the End, because all of the Americanist stuff in After the End is the like marble.
Yeah, the marble busts.
Yeah. Oh my god! Move the button. This is the thanks I get. Well, it's too close. Move it a little bit. Well, maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I'm also trying to get one for Mag, but it's really hard to get a totem of a queen that doesn't look hyper realistic.
Yeah, we need a marble bust, but it's a queen.
If you think that a marble bust of just like a statue of like the queen would be cool, then I could try that.
It could work.
It's so tough, but I need them to have an icon because the Mag is one of the people I'd be interested in like streaming because they'd be a good just like I don't need to play as the Adonai and I just tear it all apart. Storm in with your good old Zeba riders. Oh, Jamie gave them a men-at-arm that talks about being ivory as well. They're like the ivory sentinels or something. So maybe a white theme for like a pale theme for like their icon could be cool. Maybe they like marble there or something. Yeah. I don't know.
That or a icon literally carved out of ivory.
Yeah, they could have taken. The Momox are down there. I don't know. Like carve something out of ivory.
Yeah, they probably have a few Mumox. Probably not anywhere near what's in Mumicon, but they might have a few.
That's why you steal them. We God, I don't steal. Anyway,
you steal the young ones. That's how you steal the young ones.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, you got that. That's the very famous Mag and 2 Mag baby Mumok smuggling ring
Smuggling ring. Yeah. Oh my
out
God.
of the Republic of Coronada, I think it's called.
Coronade.
The Coronade
This is
Mumok smuggling ring.
this is the real reason why Mumikon is conquering Coronade at the start date. It's to cut off the smuggling route.
All right.
I am back.
Anyway, let's get back on
Oh.
topic.
So, Jocko, you came back just after Vector and I finished a long rant that finished with the Coronade baby Mumok smuggling ring. So, perfect timing. The state faith is not
Interesting.
tied specifically to administrative realms. It was very interesting, but you won't know what happened now. So, too bad, so sad. For ease of use in the modding sphere, we've tied the functionality of state faith to a government rule in script. Woo! Woo! Yes. Yes. Oh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Grabbing the sword for this one. Oh, yes. Oh, I like this. I like this. State faith Eru. Wait, you didn't know I had a you didn't notice this entire time that I've got a katana in the background? I've been playing. I sometimes have streams where I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima, and every time I get killed, I have to swing the sword. So that was the first thing that got me to start just sometimes drawing the sword and having it with me. But I don't know. This is really cool. So we can have state faiths. So Sauron obviously needs a state faith, right? Or wait, is this only for specifically for government types? Oh, we need to make new government types if we wanted someone to have a state faith. So we can't just be like Eru is the Eru Laetale is the state faith of Gondor, for example, because yeah, because instantly the thought is, oh, okay, Gondor and Mordor could totally have state faiths, but don't know if that works because we need to make them a unique government. I think, yeah.
Government, yeah.
But it's cool. It's cool because when I mean, I'm definitely going to be sinking my teeth into how moddable governments are going to be now, and maybe there will be some interesting stuff that we can cook with. Maybe this will be the excuse to make the dwarven government type, for example, because the like we can rework the elves, rework the elf government, give the dwarfs a government. Oh god, that would take so long though. Hey, but I don't have any other big projects right now, so what's going to stop me? Wait, but this is not for a while yet.
I'm also glad to see that they're moving in the direction of making more aspects of governments like detachable in terms of, like, for instance, state faith isn't just tied to admin governments. You can just lop it onto feudal governments if you wanted to, or you can make your own unique government type with a state faith. Potentially make some weird form of theocratic ruler like government, like theocracies, but like weirdly playable or some crap.
Oh yeah, theocracy's better. Theocracies better have state faith by default. Otherwise, we gotta change that right quick.
But yeah, no, it's just with like this one thing. I'm glad. I'm like what they said with estates. Obviously, I mean that's already two. I would say fairly big features like concerning governments. That's like from what they said at least should be fairly easy to just attach onto a government, which is always nice. Just having those interlocking Lego pieces essentially to form a government.
Trig, are you under the misconception that Be'lakar doesn't already convert really fast? Be'lakar Bellicar's subjects have some of Bellicar's subjects may have religious protection, but that don't stop Niluheed. Rest in peace, Bellicarani. They're only in a couple counties, and yet the culture gets automatically absorbed so quick. It's rather thematic. Yep, we do have religious protection on a lot of them, but that don't keep them safe. That don't keep him safe. He finds a way. Hmm. This feature wasn't exactly planned when we set out to make the DLC, but we added State Faith because it felt wrong not to have it. We think this, along with the other features we've discussed in this dev diary, will help admin realms feel remarkably different and novel compared to established playstyles. And what I've heard is that apparently OPB is not a fan of this.
From his video, what I could see is he's less a. It's not that he's not a fan of the admin government itself. It's that he was hoping for a way more complete overhaul of government systems overall. Um, as just to make it short, he was essentially hoping for modular governments to appear during the game. So, like for instance, if you were like a feudal realm transitioning to like an admin government style, it would be a lot more, modular. Like, oh, slowly, maybe first you start off with estates and a feudal government, and then like over 15 years, you'll get, you can appoint lower tier governors and so forth. Whereas currently, obviously, it's like, oh, suddenly like you're feudal now after the press of a button you're administrative, um
That's
which I
true.
can understand, and it would be a really cool feature, but I do think that was just out of like a pessimistic viewpoint. In terms of governments, I do think that's quite a lot, because I don't know the underlying code for any of this, but I would assume it goes with quite a lot of assumptions in the back end of stuff when coding governments, which I don't know, and like maybe it goes into the future, but yeah, essentially OPB was like, listen, he's disappointed because this essentially means any type of really modular governments is kind of forced to be far in the future. Like we're not going to see it in like the next 2 years.
Hmm. We're not going to be able to. Yeah, I can't imagine that there's a way that you could take this here and code it like a change, just change it on your own, so that it would have like tiers where you become more centralized and have the ability to have more admin
Yeah,
vassals. I
because
think because the way they've done it, it's a big case of all or nothing.
yeah, and it's also like, I mean, the only way you can like meaningly like affect your realm is, it's not even via like your government, it's like via crown authority. Just in terms of thinking, like modularity and bringing that to like governments, even through modding, it's not really possible, because
Hmm.
from what I know, governments have to be defined similar to like history. It has to be defined
Yeah.
before like the game starts up. So sure, you can have like 40, 50 different governments. You just have to set them all up all beforehand and like make weird situations where, like, oh, if this feudal realm is ruled by this admin government, instead of going directly to like administrative, they go to this weird form of government where it's like a mix between feudal and admin, and then 75% admin and so forth. And I think that's just not worth it.
I'm not sure if I'm as sad as him about that. To be fair, I don't think I really care that much, because I'd be yeah. It sounds cool, the idea of, oh, you're someplace between centralized administration and feudal, but I mean, surely I'm imagining that if the adopt administration, I haven't read this yet, but what I imagine this does is it makes you administrative, but you still have your feudal vassals, and you've got to deal with that if you want to centralize properly. So I imagine it's not going to just as soon as you click adopt centralized administration, it probably doesn't just like yoink everyone's land and say, "Oh, you're all just governors now." Uh, so, and I imagine if that's the case, then yeah, as you're saying, Cairo, that sounds like it would be a lot of fun to go through the process of slowly converting your realm into a more administrative realm. So that's what that sounds like a pretty decent representation of what OPB wants. Like it's not to the level of what he wants with modular governments, but like that's a very complex system. Okay, I'll read. I'll read. Wow, don't even need vector with trig in the chat. God damn. Ugh. Ban that guy. Jeez. Any feudal or clan ruler will have access to a decision that lets them replace their current government and become administrative. So, if Drax's still around, no, not from tribal. Not from tribal, you gotta wait. Aww, he's a mini vector. Aww, he's so cute. Damn it. Aw, wow, here's Drax. Oh, damn, I wanted my tribal Poland to go instantly into administrative. That's you. Crybaby. Crybaby Drac. Note that you have to be an empire already before you can do so. Additionally, you will need to surpass a minimum realm size. An administrative realm is meant to be a large empire, so adopting it as a tiny ruler makes little sense. That's not going to stop me from making Bree an administrative county if I can. I'm going to find a way. uh, hmm. Hmm. You also need the approval of your powerful vassals, as you won't be able to perform such a radical reform in your government with at least your most influential. Yeah, with at least your most influential vassal supporting you. It will cost you quite a lot of gold to become an admin realm, though. The gold cost scales with your realm size, so you'll want to become administrative before you become too large. No one ever said that it would be cheap nor easy to strive towards a bureaucratic playstyle. The Holy Roman Empire must be governed by laws, institutions, and merit, not family inheritance and personal allegiances. Yes, the HRE. The HRE must become centralized. No, it's the opposite. This is centralizing it. This is pressing the EU4 button. God, if this DLC came out before, but this came out before the mega campaign, that means I could have actually centralized the HRE before before the EU4 game, which, mind you, if I did such a thing, then the transferring over in the mega campaign would have we would have probably just split off a ton of my country to be independent, but you know. A realm as large as this one will never be efficiently governed without an administration of able bureaucrats centered around our beautiful capital. Where's the capital? Telling me where the capital of the HRE is in this example. Where is it? It better be Aachen, because if it's not Aachen, heads are gonna roll. More than 75 counties large. Actually, Frankfurt's pretty based. I'm down for Frankfurt being the capital. You gain lawgiver. You gain 100 influence. Aw, how cute! 100? Couldn't be like, I don't know, 500, 300, like a substantial amount? This is enough to be like, one guy, like ask a dude to convert. You increase your legitimacy to true. Any feudal or clan vassals within your de jure realm, and that is of your faith, will change government type to administrative as long as they have a positive opinion of you. Okay. I can get on board with that. If they're in your de jure empire and they're of a positive opinion of you and they are feudal or clan, then they will change to admin government with you as long as they like you. Yeah, that makes sense. That's 1/10 of the way to changing the state faith. Well, I certainly hope that if you're going to become an administrative realm, you would already have chosen the faith that you intend to use beforehand. Holy shit, this has been going on 2 hours now. Oh god. Upon taking the decision, the vast majority of your vassals will change government alongside you, though not everyone probably will. Your powerful vassals will always change government, since you need their approval. Other vassals are less eager. Vassals of a different faith, for example, will likely not accept, since it is your own faith that will become the new state faith. And if your empire is fairly vast already, any non-de jure vassals you may have will also not become administrative. Fortunately, you have tools available to convince these vassals to become part of your bureaucracy sooner or later. A new character interaction allows you to spend gold in an attempt to make a non-admin vassal adopt your government type. Do note that the requirements are still pending, as they may change. That's okay. Well, just everyone's playing games. Yes, the overall balance is pending. Historical administrative realms. Oh boy! Since the content focus of roads to power is centered on Byzantium, we have not applied admin government to any other realms on game start by default. We'll discuss content a bit later on this summer in the Dev Diary about Byzantine flavor, but suffice it to say that the content for admin realms is greatly inspired by Byzantium, while not being completely locked to that cultural context. We know that players will be itching to try out admin in other places, and while they can always convert from feudal or clan to the admin as shown above, we thought it would be fun to add a few historical game rules that set the following realms government types to be administrative on game start. Egypt, Arabian Empire, Ghana. Oh, Ghana, huh?
Interesting.
Kabulistan, Persia, Maghreb, the Carolingians, Tamalakam, and all players. I don't know what Tamalakam is, but I know who
Me
the Tamil
neither.
Kings are, so maybe it's them. Maybe it's the Tamil Kings. Yippee! Finally, we'll not have to deal with the clan government as the Muslims. Is it actually the country that rules southern? Like, it is actually a country at game start that exists? Like that the Tamil people have their own empire? I didn't think they did, but shows you how much I've played CK3 in India. I in fact I don't think I've played no, I played one game week one in I played a Tamil count during week one of CK3 because they had a very highly developed county, so I played them. How ironic if it's Sri Lanka that's the Tamil country. Dear God. Hmm. You did the exact same thing? Well, great minds think alike, or in our case, adequate minds might perhaps think to mimic greatness such as myself. Yes. The administrative government of the Arabian Empire of Abbasids. Yes. It's a little weird that it changes them to be called the Arabian Empire, but I suppose what? Ashari government. Huh? What? Is that head of faith realm? That's new, right? Head of faith realm. That's new. They didn't always make the head of faith be referred to government to like their government type here be referred to as the head of faith realm. I don't think they used to do that. That's pretty cool though.
Yeah. They've also moved quite a few things in the UI. Like you can see your gold, influence, prestige, piety, legitimacy, and all those kind of things in the character window,
This is pretty
which is
clean.
nice. Yeah.
I mean, there's this down here, which isn't too clean, but
Yeah. Let's ignore it. Let's ignore it for now. Let's ignore it. Work in progress. Trust.
The Duchy of Alms. Ah, you need to create. Yeah, you need to create duchy titles before you can actually hand out the provinces. Governorates. Makes sense. And there we go. That should cover the fundamentals of administrative, our new government type, and we hope to have given you an idea of how it plays. Join us again next week as we cover the details of our new start date, 1178, and its 2 associated bookmarks. Well,
Or if one of their bookmarks isn't France and the Plantagenets, wow,
I mean, I'm
it's
sure
gonna be
it will
such a
be.
big L.
I'm sure it will be. Yes. Ah, dear God. Huh. I'll do a little bit. I'll look in the dev responses a little bit, but dear God, that was a lot. It's so long. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Ugh.
Might need to
Okay.
start reading it beforehand, Joffrey.
No. 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 Bad snail boy. Bad. The matter of wars, she does block from declaring wars on governors. Ah, yes, yeah. The Emperor's land, rather than blocking it completely, will allow vassals with different government types to still wage war if they have CBs. However, doing so is considered criminal and gives the Emperor a valid reason to lock you up. Yes. So declare those wars at your own risk. The consequences of not following the state faith. There are a few effects directly related to the state faith. One of the most major ones is that if you're a vassal and don't practice the state faith, your candidate score is significantly reduced. Makes sense. Which makes it much more difficult to become governors. Is it possible for a landless noble to own a personal army? How would the army work for landless admin characters? Landless characters still have access to personal men-at-arms. Do note that all admin characters have less personal men-at-arms than other governments, so you won't field huge armies. You still have to pay maintenance for them, though, so you need to make sure your estate provides you with enough gold to go around. Is it possible for a landless adventurer to settle down in an admin realm and become a landless noble? Yes, yes, it will. They're not quite decided whether or not admin realms are going to be locked to acclamation. Wish you'd stop hedging your bets and moving stuff behind game rules. Either have admin government type where appropriate. Example like the Abbasids, or don't. Really don't like this. We're not sure. Yeah. I do kind of feel like it's a little silly for them to be like, well, we designed it around the Byzantines, so we don't really want to give it to anyone else. When it's like, if you think that the Abbasids should have it, because clearly, based on the way they're treating it, they think that the Abbasids, clearly they think that the Abbasids are a good example of someone who should have it. So I kind of think they should make up their mind whether they think the Abbasids should have it or not. So yes, it does make it look like they're just. It seems a little silly that they would have a just like, all of these countries could have it, and then they hide the fact that they're not confident in giving it to the Abbasids, for example, by saying, well, also you have all of these other countries that could have it. I I don't know, man. I don't know. It feels weird. It feels a little weird. The team does have a stance. It's that admin government is most appropriate for Byzantium and late game empires switching into it. That's what we decided over the course of development. That's what we geared for. I added the game rules here because myself and some others at least wanted the option for games that might arguably be a little more historically authentic, even if they're quite a bit more janky. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, he's even saying here it's more appropriate. It's more appropriate for the Abbasids to be bureaucratic, but but they're saying that the only reason they even have the rules is because they wanted the option to be more authentic. I don't understand what like the whole them saying it might be more jank. Why does it have to be jank?
I, from at least from what I'm reading, it just appears. I don't think they mean jank in terms of oh shit will break. I think they mean more jank as in listen, probably a lot of the events, or not a lot of the events, but I would assume that some of the events are written Byzantine, like Byzantine, like and associated the region, with that as like a background context. Whereas having like a like you can't obviously have those events fire in the um Abbasid Empire. It's a completely different region. And while it would technically obviously have an administrative government or administrative-esque government, the cultures and faiths around it would be very different. So,
Mm,
I, at least the way I'm reading it is the government can go around, but the content that they've added surrounding the government is just it's Byzantine focused. I mean, it's an expansion pack, but
I see.
if you read the points, I mean, I think everyone
Yeah.
can realize that it's a very Byzantine focused DLC. So that at least that's where I'm reading it. So government can go anywhere, but expect then to get a lot more repetitive events. Whereas if you play in the Byzantine Empire with normal game rules, expect to get the full content of the DLC because that's what they focused on.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's the same sort of thing where it's like they've moved the clan government, for example, more and more to be Muslim. It's the Muslim government type. Meanwhile, when it started as being clan, it was focused just on family and opinion. So it was a case of, oh, you could see, for example, a like a tribal people in like Scotland and Ireland reforming into clan government type, but not now. And we had that realization on the Realms team when we during development we had given the dwarves clan government for a period of time until we realized that no, it really is quite heavily Muslim themed, and it just was not going to work out. Tragically, I miss the good old days of Eldberg being sent the grapes, the decadent grapes by Uri. It's
Yeah.
so sad. We do it all the time. It was always like week one, grapes. You get the grapes, Eldberg. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just a case of the team wasn't going to make any of those countries. It wasn't going to make any of those countries administrative. So yeah, this man specifically, I forget who it is that's doing this dev diary, but he specifically added the game rule on his own time. So I'm appreciative for that, even though I don't really play. I don't really play vanilla, but you know. Uh, common request. Ghana seems neat, even though it doesn't feel really. It doesn't really feel appropriate, but it feels neat anyway. It's something I would be interested in trying sometime. Hmm. What kind of consequences? Not following the state. Yep. Yep. Constantinople has been changed, and they're going to talk about it later on, of course. Yeah. The only way to have the more active way to have them war on your behalf. You can have them war on your behalf. So summon to war. Summon to war.
Summon the Elector Counts.
You can summon the Elector Counts to declare war on people. Strategos Michael starts a war against Prince Dimitri with the sponsored administrative war Casus Belli. The target the duchy, yeah.
Oh shit! Look at that second effect. We'll target a duchy, which will be granted to you upon
Because
victory.
it's added to the administrative realm, so it's just another duchy that's getting added to the realm.
Oh,
So if
that's
this
really
guy
cool. So it's like, yeah. So like, imagine you just have a crap ton of influence, and then, like all along your like borders, you're just like every vassal go to war now, and then it's like you just watch the chaos unfold while sitting comfortable in your estate.
I
The
can very
Byzantine
much
Emperor
picture.
commands it, advance on all fronts.
I can very much imagine the I can very much imagine the kings of Gondor in the Angmar Wars demanding that the frontiers advance, and you get Rovanian. Listen, we're good friends with the Kingdom of Rovanian, but frontier wars. So you summon Pinnith Gellin to advance. I imagine Pinnith Gellin is owned at that point because the that's like the height of their power. They probably have Andrast even directly under control. Um, If they're so focused on the Byzantine government, why should it be called administrative when it is nowhere else on the map? It should just be called the Byzantine. Well, yeah, other people can adopt the government type. Yeah, the
Yeah,
Byzantines
and
just
the
have
way
the extra flavor. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I see it. It's not that the government is Byzantine flavored; it's that there's specific flavor surrounding the like Byzantines that just also slots in nicely with the admin government. That's like I do assume the admin government just has like a set of generic events that fire, but Byzantines just have, I don't know, an arbitrarily larger number of events that can fire.
And now I'm realizing that once this comes out, I'm gonna have to somehow get Adonaic names for governors and governorships.
Yes. Yes.
Wonderful. So fun. But also, yes, fun because more title flavor. The
Yep.
storm host must grow larger. Just ask DS. That's true. That's true. DSS is very knowledgeable about random Adonaic stuff. Though there's also Vector, and he is present. But, in time, that's not important yet.
Yeah, it's not happening
Sadly.
today.
So sad. So
Three
sad.
more months. 3 and a bit more months. That is depressing.
Constantinople is still a castle holding. We always want a county's capital to be a castle so everyone can hold it. That's not true. There's like 17 counties in Central Europe that have churches as their primary holding. Or only holding. Bruh.
No, but I get their point because how much have we struggled with wrong holding types being the only things in counties?
Not enough. I think that we need more counties and realms that have a castle as a church as a primary holding. Not enough theocracy, I say.
Yeah, we should just make them.
We only have 2 on the map.
That's not enough.
We should just make their united kingdom a theocracy. Like as soon as Aragorn forms it, it just game over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Never mind,
Yes.
We still need to make the decision to make the king of the reunited kingdom the head of fate for the Dunedain faith.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be annoying now because when you that arguably is kind of annoying with how they've made it so that is that still that same image? Yeah, because it shows here a Shari head of faith realm. It's going to be the Reunited Kingdom is going to say Erulai Tale, head of Faith Realm.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then the same is going to happen with Umbar whenever the King's Men decide, I am the new head of the King's Men. Yes, it is a special. They have a special picture for Constantinople now. Wow. Yes, they got the minarets right. They did. The Hagia Sophia does not have the funny mosque pillars. Yes, good.
Good update if and when it's conquered by a Muslim.
No, it must never be updated. No, don't do it.
Now the real question is, do we have something similar for Minas Tirith?
So yeah, in a different comment, they talk about this, and we can now have illustrations scripted on a province level. So we can do one for Minas Tirith, Minas Ethel. All the special locations can have unique.
Based.
Artwork.
That is so based. Oh my
That's
god, I
pretty
can't wait
cool.
for it.
I
can't
where
wait
is
to like.
where's my Shrell Kane special illustration at? Just random person playing the mod has no idea what Shrell Kane is. They're playing as Norwinian, just clicking through the counties, and they click on this one county, and it's just super evil looking. Like, what?
I do wonder, and this is really just me like wanting to play around with Jank, but there is a video player supported in CK3.
Oh god, here we
How
go.
funny would it be if like you swap out the illustration for a video player, and then like if it's like you click on Minas Tirith, it just like plays the intro from like the movies of Return of the King in the like illustration window. That would be insane. Or
What are we
like
gonna do with
quickly
you,
on
Jocko?
Barad
What are
Dûr,
we gonna do with you? Someone needs to put you down. The snail needs some. Wait, snails aren't afraid of salt. It's slugs that don't like salt. I think. Maybe it's snails too. I'm gonna dump some salt on you real quick. Oh my gosh! Everyone's just like, a unique illustration for this building or that one. Whoa, Nilulande. Shush, James. No one cares. No one cares about Bellacar. What is this? And anyone who cares about Bellacar and likes Nilulande thinks that's the best place, you have an L opinion. The best place in Bellacar is Urezion. Actually. So
what? Right, let me quickly find there's a more based location that you missed.
Oh wait, it's the place where the Istra faith is, right? That's what you're thinking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Istra. Yeah, those people are pretty cool. They're also so privileged.
Yeah, they are. We have so many special locations. Like, how cool would it be if there was a special illustration of the bronze statue of Taran Kaliman? Like, oh my, just click on a random bloody province and you find that. Or the Sunset Caverns, Joffrey. Oh my word.
Different icons for different subterranean stuff, yeah. Different places subterranean, like, yeah, that could be pretty cool. Time to break out Stable Diffusion again. Correct.
And I mean, like, Karn Doom, like...
Oh! Dol Guldur?
Yeah. Muflond, both the Northern and South Havens, Southern Havens.
Yes!
Harbad,
Yes!
like Orfang, Helm's Deep, obviously all the normal ones. Lothlorien, Lasgalen, or, well, Aradrund.
And yes, every single Donan county needs a unique hill picture. I'll get on it, Paul.
The unique thing is, it's just like starting from the left, like whatever side you want to. It's just an empty forest, and the longer you progress, the more Donan pop up until like the last illustration is just a Donan staring directly into your soul through the illustration.
Sometimes I worry for you, Jocko.
I think that would be amazing. I'm not gonna lie. That would be.
God damn it. Well, it's a good thing I did look at this stuff. Yeah, that's pretty darn cool. Need to see how much I can try and force Stable Diffusion to make some oil paintings of different places. As long as it's not a canon place, because the canon stuff's really hard to do. With Stable Diffusion, you need real people to make art of that. The Losoth do have a unique. Wait. I think they do. Yeah, the Losoth do have a unique illustration for their the backgrounds of their like character windows and for their counties. So shush, James, shush and play the mod. L bad. Osgiliath? Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if that could change. That's the key thing because when yeah, Jocko also mentioned Tharbad, which for example is like, well, okay, but could we have it change? I kind of doubt it. But hey, maybe
Well,
if they make the
maybe.
illustration change, if the special building changes, because maybe they make this image change. Like if you upgrade the building to be the Muslim version, maybe it does change. Maybe. In which case
I
that'd be
mean,
handy
you've
for
got
us.
the. I really hope they use scripted illustrations because um we are like using scripted illustrations to do that with Men at Arms, so could be they're doing that, and then like how cool would it be to have like 4 different illustrations of Minas Tirith for each of the different levels, with the last one just being a Rings of Power like massive tree, but we just dub it as the white tree.
This is okay. Okay. The weird thing I'm noticing because of the way that like the difference between Paradox Tinto and the CK3 team is that the CK3 team is so much more active in these comments and responding to stuff. Meanwhile, the Paradox Tinto team, for all those Tinto talks, it's almost always the same dude who's responding. It's almost only the person who made the post that responds to the post in the comments. Meanwhile, there's so many different devs that are responding, and then they also dump all of the community team posts in here. They just lump them all together for us to see very easily, which is very convenient. It's like, god damn. Paradox Tinto, step up your game. Stop working on your game. Stop working on EU5 and start moderating your forums more for my convenience. Anyway, uh, I mean, I'm not coding. Instead of coding, I'm here talking about future coding. Wow. Wow.
But I
Anyway,
am coding.
well, that's true. Jocko's coding for me. It's okay.
Yeah.
But with that, I think we have thoroughly exhausted this topic. 3 hours. Holy shit. So, I think I can return the katana to its rightful place, and I believe that we can end this discussion here for the day and the week. Yeah, that was a long one. Insufficient discussion on the Imperial Shire. I think you just did an insufficient job of reminding me. It's all your fault. Yes. All right then. So, I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Yes. Bye bye.